words uh prior to oh god, words prior to the uh like anything with the new set. Like when the change first went up with Goober, I started brainstorming. I was like, how could I crack this? And couldn't figure out a way to crack it. Oh god, I'm getting
Yeah.
I'm like, why do I hear my voice? I don't think it's from your end. It's from my phone.
Ah, that'll do
I
it.
know my mic wasn't
Let me
picking
close
that
a
up.
bunch of tabs.
Glad I caught
You
that
silk songing?
quickly. Hmm? I didn't hear
Have you been
your.
silk songing?
I don't have Silk Song yet.
Oh wow.
Uh, I I set myself a goal for the project for this month for my custom set that I wanted to make sure I tackled a lot of the goals that I had set before I dare touch Silk Song. And that's a funny way of saying I can't afford it. So really it's less like, oh,
Wow.
I can't play Silk Song until I focus on the set project, and more like I need to put Hollow Knight down to focus on the set project. Because I'm doing
Fair
what I
enough.
can to kind of push through all achievements on Hollow Knight.
Oop.
Ricky finding out it's due today. Oh no. Less than 9 minutes, Stasis.
I'm missing a good number of achievements on Hollow Knight. Oh right. Speedrun 2, I have 100%. I don't have 112.
I have 14 achievements left, which for starting to play like a little over a week ago, I think is pretty good. Um,
That's
and
very
like
good. I
not having
also have
played today or
exactly 14
yesterday.
left, but I have the hours in that game.
You have how many hours?
50.
43. I
Okay, wow.
have
In
very
a
little
week.
left to
That's a
do
lot
on
of
my
pulling.
current save file. It's 112 is the main thing. My plan for my current main save file is I want to tackle the remaining pantheons, and then I want to uh, take down Absolute Radiance, which I know is going to take a lot more than the hours I've already put into the game, probably.
Have you Path of Pain?
I have not Path of Pain. That's a little personal goal I want to also accomplish on this save file is to Path
Yeah.
of Pain.
I gave up on Pantheon 4. I could never get past Pantheon 4, and I never even tried 5.
I'm struggling on Pantheon 3 because I've gotten very good at regular Grim. Speaking of, one of the things I still have to do for the save file to get to 112 is I still have to take out Nightmare King.
Yay, Nightmare
Uh,
King! Nightmare
I've
King, I think was the hardest boss I ever beat.
Yeah, I want to take out Nightmare King on the current save file, and then when I'm doing Steel Soul 100%, I just want to banish instead. Just take the easier route out of having to deal with all of that. Um,
Oh, right, it counts for 100% steel.
yeah.
Uh,
Have
yeah,
120
I
hours.
had
The
such
last
a
Pantheon King lasts for
cheesy.
so long. Yeah,
Wow.
that's
I had such a cheesy build for my winning Nightmare King Grim run. I had glowing womb on for my winning run.
I've I have looked at my potential options, and I've been learning about a thing. I need to do some more research into it. Uh, because I don't understand if this is like a current patch thing. But I know something about. I believe it is. Oh God, it's the it's the charm that like spits out a bunch of the like little worms, and
Oh,
something
that
about
might
the
be
like.
glowing womb.
Is it glowing womb? I don't think it is, because I think you get it from Fluke Marm.
Oh, f- uh, uh,
It's the Fluke charm.
Fluke Nest, the
Yeah,
one that
Fluke
turns
Nest, I think.
your neutral special into worms.
Yeah, it turns it into worms. Um,
That shotgun thing that does a ton of damage.
well, so what I understand is not only is it like shotguns to deal a ton of damage, it's also um broken. I don't know if this is on current patch or on an older patch, but there was something I was seeing about how like it is used in speed runs because there was a thing that was broken with its hitboxes, where the hitboxes would linger after the projectiles disappeared. So if you could push an enemy into the hitbox, it would proc the damage all over again and just completely shred through an enemy's health. And so,
Nice.
like, Pantheon 5 speedruns would use Fluke Nest to just shred bosses quickly. If you did against the wall, bounce off and deal even more damage. Old patch Fluke Nest. Okay, so it's not current patch. Got it. Well, I need to find a new strategy.
Oh, yeah, okay. I did not do any research, which is how I ended up on Glowing Womb. Not
Yeah.
recommended. This is me like deciding that it's too much for me to focus on dodging NKG and using like spells to deal damage, and I'm never gonna get a chance to heal, so I'd rather have my just passively convert my soul into damage.
Yeah. I
Glowing Womb.
I really want 100% Hollow Knight. I wasn't 100% sure if I would want to 100% it like fully when I first sat down with it. I knew like, okay, I'll try and get like a 100% save file. Then I was told it was 112% for full completion. I was like, okay, I guess I'll put myself through that. And despite, I think I would probably still be inclined to say I have even more love in my heart for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which, from my understanding, is a bit of a controversial take among fans of Ori. I think I would sooner say I like Ori and the Will of the Wisps is my favorite Metroidvania over Hollow Knight, but there are 6 achievements I do not have on Will of the Wisps, and I have absolutely zero intention to ever go back and get them. And I think I would like to try
Will
and get
is
every
fun,
Hollow
but if you're
Knight
trying to be like
achievement.
Ori is fun, but if you're trying to be ultra precise in Ori, I do not think it's fun. Ori is not a precisely moving character.
Yeah, there's a lot of floatiness. There's a lot of things that just kind of like. I think maybe if I wanted to go back, I could get hardcore fan, because like ultimately hard mode on that game is very difficult. But I think I could probably get myself through it, because like I have untouchable. I'm beating more of the spider without taking damage. But like high and dry, never touch corrupted water. Shardless, never equip a shard. And beat the game. Lightless, don't ever spend any spirit light. Complete the game in under 4 hours. Complete the game without dying. Those are all hell.
I'm glad that Hollow Knight doesn't really have. Hollow Knight doesn't have like challenge run achievement. It just has Steel Soul and
that's pretty much it. And
Speed Run.
Pantheons, Speedrun, Steel Soul, and Pantheons. And Pantheon 5 like beat Absolute Radiance is pretty much the challenge run, in terms of like difficulty. So I think while I would be inclined to say Team Cherry is very keen on a little healthy helping of bullshit here and there, I think I would much sooner put myself through getting 100% achievements on Hollow Knight than Ori and the Will of the Wisps. And I would much rather put myself through Ori and the Will of the Wisps than the one from Breath of the Wild. Or not Breath of the Wild. God, I am bad with game names sometimes. Blind Forest.
Ori 2?
Or Ori and the Blind Forest, the original one.
Oh, Ori 1. Okay.
Ori 1. I do not like combat in Ori 1.
No, neither do I.
I similarly, it took me a very long time to get used to using spells in Hollow Knight. I got through most of the game on a nail build, and through all of it, I had friends who were spectating me and going, "Oh, you chose to do a nail build," and I was like, "I don't understand what other build you want me to do. Like, I didn't think this was anything other than just me picking the thing that lets me deal damage." And my problem,
same. I like that was like classic Hollow Knight noob thing. I'm focusing on dodging and healing. I'm barely using spells. This is how we got to Glowing Womb.
yeah. But yeah, I love. Did you tune into Silksong posting?
Don't worry, Liv. There are no Silksong spoilers because
No
Peacock has
Silksong
not
spoilers. Chip asked me if I have been skonging. I joked that I'm not touching Silksong until I'm done with my custom set, because I don't have the money to buy it, so I just am not playing Silksong right now. But I've been talking about we've been talking about my experience with Hollow Knight, and my general thought that I think I like Ori and the Will of the Wisps more than Hollow Knight, but that is not for me to say that I think Hollow Knight is lesser than Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I think they are both masterpieces.
Hmm.
And I'm very excited to get my hands on Silk Song one day. Um,
Boy,
uh,
I mean, you're from what I heard, you're waiting for your set to get in Valir to get into Rev, and then 2 years to pass for it to be done. That's gonna take a while.
yeah, it's gonna be a while. By that time, Team Cherry might have finally announced Hollow Knight 3.
No, it took 8 years for that second. There's no way they're gonna
Well, I
serve it
mean,
out
they
in like 3 years.
announced Silk Song pretty soon after Hollow Knight. It just took a long time for them to say anything about how that announcement turned out.
Yeah, I mean, playable Hornet was a stretch goal for the Hollow Knight Kickstarter, so
Yeah, so like it was always known.
they just finally finished completing the Kickstarter.
Yeah. Um. Oh, I am seeing Discord notifications, and I'm just doing what I can to confirm. Nope, does not look like it's up yet. Where are my Discord notifications then?
Yeah, Ricky is trying to enter a deck list on a phone.
Ooh, rough.
I think it's what's delaying. GP is trying to get Ricky a deck.
It looks like we may have more players in though. 24 now. Ooh.
Yeah,
We got
Stasis went in last minute.
yeah. I see Tremor, Stasis, and Ricky. I will say I don't often sit down with a bunch of Metroidvanias, so there's a long catalog of ones that I still am meaning to try, and Hollow Knight was on that list for a very long time up until like pretty much the end of last month. But one of the things that I can say about Metroidvanias is when I do finally sit down for them, I have a tendency to not put them down until I am truly content with them. I 100%ed Metroid Dread twice.
Whoa.
I like Metroidvanias. It's just hard for me to begin them because I know how much time investment they will ask of me.
Yeah. I picked up Silk Song and like I haven't touched Hollow Knight in probably like 3 years. And I picked up Silk Song and I immediately had Hollow Knight muscle memory. Like I was pressing buttons that were not the right buttons because I had weird keybinds for Hollow Knight and it just came back
Yeah.
immediately.
I thankfully didn't mess with the controls on Hollow Knight too much, so that shouldn't screw me too much. I think the only thing I did was I started playing Hollow Knight on keyboard and then quickly said, "Nah, fuck this, I'm pulling out a controller." And I had
God.
changed. I think I changed the interact button to space, but like I'm not gonna be playing Silk Song on a keyboard, so I should be fine.
Alright. This is like dates back to when I was in like my TF2 days. I have always had jump on left shift.
Huh. I've always, ever since I got my first mouse that ever had like thumb buttons on the side, I have made it a policy where if there is a way for me to put things on a thumb button in first-person shooters, sprint is always like the forward front button, and then like grenade or like secondary or whatever would always be like the back thumb button. So I could push to sprint with like the main finger pad of my thumb, and then I could use the like first joint to like push in to use a secondary or throw a grenade.
Yeah. I know like really old school like Quake players, they would put jump on right click. That's like a really old school thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Ricky's in, by the way.
Yeah, Ricky's in. I'm just waiting to see the ping.
Stace is considering swapping decks. Well, Stace, there's negative 6 minutes left. Oh yeah, congrats on the project channel for the spotlight for the spotlight.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really happy about it. I have not put in enough work so far this month. The first week of the month did not go as I intended it to, but then if things always went according to plan, you would never have to learn how to improvise.
Yeah, I mean, you did the whole set reviews, so.
Yeah, I did a whole set review prior to this month. I did the patch notes review day one. I've had some things to cover.
Mhm. I got a set in the works. Just got all the commons done today, actually, or like
Ooh,
in at least.
I
So,
know
ma-
a couple of the like new next projects for folks in the community. I know Prov is working on sci-fi like spacefaring. I know uh Stasis also working on sci-fi, sort of like sci-fi fantasy. Got their project channel reopened today with Temporal Time Loop Crisis.
better
And
yesterday,
then
yeah.
yeah, better yesterday. And I know that uh Silver is working on a fighting game set now. But I actually don't know what
Yep,
your next project is.
it is not. I mean, it's based on something I've shared before, but I'm gonna wait until I have this like cooked a little longer before reviewing. I like having a card in every slot before I start showing people things.
That's super fair. I'm in my head. I'm trying to think like what world building conceits are naturally lending towards just throwing a bunch of furries in there.
Uh, Thank you, pinging Scribble. It is 8 minutes past the hour. Maybe no GP this month.
Maybe no GP
Maybe
this
maybe
month.
big trick.
I mean, hey,
Everyone's a
that'd be a
winner.
surefire. Oh, there we go.
No, okay, we're in.
We're
Okay,
in.
I've matchups. I'm not looking at them.
Yeah, I glanced at them, but I'm gonna move over to the. Oh
Okay,
no,
we
not Offset Damon to kick it off.
I can't see that on the stream. Is something paused?
No, it should be visible.
Okay, weird. I can see it. Long as people can see it. So I think last time we alternated. Do we want to do that this time?
Uh, sure. And in fact, I say, you can take the lead because I know that you are third on the list and I am fourth on the list. So,
That is
yeah.
true, and also
So
because I I didn't build this deck. This is Scribble's build, but this is something I've been pushing. This is battle control.
yeah,
This is not creatures with battle control. It has 4 offset demon. But the idea is we have Clash at Mistrit Vale, Passive Scales, and Clash at Aura's Cross as battles with excellent static/enter effects that you just need to deal 2 damage to turn them into really effective, very hard to kill permanents. Uh, Jeskai control effectively, Deafening Clarion as the 3 mana sweeper of choice, Sistral Charm, removal spell that can also damage down battles, Death Deflection is counterspells, countermeasures. All 3 of these battles have 5 or less defense, so countermeasures can clear the whole thing instantly. Very dangerous with Clash at Mistrit Vale. And also Shigane Manor Burns. It's to ramp out Clash at Aura's Cross and Path of Scales. And Offset Demon, also a great way of clearing battle. That's a great innovation.
yeah. This is a pretty sick Jeskai control deck.
Yeah. No
Eight,
shock,
no
which is
shock.
no shock main, no shock side.
Yeah, I will say, and I'll get into this a little bit when we get down to my deck. Shock and company, obviously one mana interaction really important. I think we are approaching an era of the format where deal two or -2/-2 starts to feel kind of awkward.
I've like, I mean, spoiler. I have 4 such effects in my sideboard. I think you definitely want access to them for stuff like
For sure.
Husk Forger and especially Matriarch.
Oh yeah.
Like on the draw, Matriarch gets too big for your 2 mana removal before you have it up.
Yeah. And this is
So,
Kitsune Matriarch, not Matriarch of Veiled Kin.
oh yes, the good one.
Yeah.
For Gilded Court too. For Gilded Court. This is a very This is only
Scribble's been playing since the
uh
format started. I think Scribble had 2 full years of getting to play with Blood Like Rivers. I think Scribble knows just how valuable Gilded Court can be, and it's
and
nice to
for
start this off with 4 of Gilded Court.
and for Silent Lakefront. That's the other counterspell after Death
It's
Deflection.
spicy.
Very spicy. Yeah, I mean, for this kind of list, I had like part of the reason I was so all high on battle control is that you get access to 4 shocks, but they're not dead against decks of no 2 types of creatures because you can always shock a Clash at Aura's Cross.
Yeah.
26 land, so a very land heavy deck makes sense because expensive cards, not much ramp or card draw. That's for cheap. Asterion for the control mirrors in the sideboard. Swift Approach for opposing battle decks. Sizcall also for control. Archival for graveyard decks. Staff of Balance, very interesting. I don't know who this is for. And 4 Pest Problem. I had trouble fitting in like the artifact and enchantment haste cards, like the pest problems and such. It just feels like
Yeah.
there aren't a ton of decks that I need them for.
Yeah, I think this sideboard makes sense for the most part, though. I think a lot of the choices here. I think the biggest point of contention would be just the absence of a shock or something along those lines. I think even beyond shock, I think Firebolt would be the thing I'd be most surprised to see the absence of, just because of how valuable that flashback is, especially when you get it combined with something like Clash at Mistrit Vale. Both being able to proc the token creation twice on Clash at Mistrit Vale, a single Firebolt over both casts, being able to single-handedly clear your Clash at Orith Cross, Firebolt plus Thistral Charm, or Firebolt plus Offset Daemon clearing Clash or Mistrit Vale or Path of Scales. So like there's a lot of value to be had with Firebolt, but I also do think that, like, especially if you are trying to go up to 26 lands, I think it's totally reasonable to recognize that, like, you just don't have room in the main, and if there are bigger problems you're worried about, just like bigger fish to fry in the sideboard, like that can just be perfectly reasonable. Because ultimately, if you're on the play, or even on the draw sometimes, if you can get a turn 2 Thistral Charm, that can still check the troublesome 1-drops. Because it's going to be really hard for a Kitsune Matriarch to have more than 3 toughness on turn 2.
I believe that's impossible.
Yeah,
You can
I'm
get it to
inclined
3
to say it's
I don't think you can
possible.
get it worth it.
It might be possible, but I'm not 100%. I strongly am suspicious of the notion that it is possible. A nice
Yeah,
little
I'm just like,
bonus as well here is Thistral Charm being able to copy the Offset Daemon Overflow token. That's pretty
oh, it's
sweet.
adorable. I don't know how often it's going to come up, but that is cool.
It's pretty cool.
Uh, the relevant thing I've copied with Sistral Charm, if Passive Scales copies your non-creature spells, such as your other Passive Scales in Clash at Mistrit Vale, and that makes tokens.
Yeah. Zangi also noting Astarion is really good with something like Clash at Orith Cross. And then yeah, your tokens get +1/+1 have vigilance, so you make 3 2/2s with lifelink, haste, and vigilance.
I'm assuming Astarion comes in matchups where Clash comes out, like against other control decks.
Yeah, like I could see that, where it's like, you go down, maybe not the full 4 Clashes. I think you'd sooner go down the 4 Clarions. But you could go down like 4 Clarions, maybe some number of Clashes for 2 Siscall, 1 Astarion, maybe the 1 Staff of Balance, and then other tech as needed.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, seems sweet. I think especially in a deck where you have whole 0 turn 1 plays, and you're a 3-color deck. Gilded Court, I just love. And the color tax is not too abundantly high. Like the
this
most
deck has 0 1-drops.
Yeah,
so
like you can get away with a lot here, and so you get away with 6. Is it 6? It might only be 4. I'm trying to count up lands. Oh, no, it's 8.
It's
8
2
shocks.
Meteor, Facade, Force, and Lakefront.
8 shocks is what I was counting.
Yeah, 8
full
shocks,
play
6
set of
tap lands.
red white ones, and then 2 each of the others, and then 4 lakefronts, 2 facades. Yeah, and Crucible Bound Flame getting some reps here as well. Nope.
Yeah.
No other basic fetches besides the lakefronts and the facades, which I guess is fair enough if you're running the weft fetches.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Wow. No primal failure. That's really surprising.
All right. Let's move on to. A lot of benefit of Clash is that you can keep it in against control because it still has text. That's a good point from Zhang. It's part of why I said like I think you cut out Clarion before you cut out Clash, because while the board wipe
Mhm.
effect is kind of the big flashy thing you can do with Clash at Orith Cross, it is still, you know, you deal 2 damage to it and then it's a token factory for the rest of the game. And so that can still be a win condition in control matchups. Moving on here, we've got Split Moon's One Foot in the Grave, which looks to be Black Red Reanimator.
Yep.
Enduring Loyalty. Okay. Okay, so this is 16 creatures. We've got 4 Ignited Soul, 4 Rooftop Slink, 4 Audacious Rough Rider, and 4 Privilege Escalation. Rough Rider, really clever way to get another bit of discard value in there. And then I guess if you just exile a Privilege Escalation, you are always making a treasure. Backed
Yep.
up by 4 Festered Effluvium, 4 Terminal Impact, 3 Final Fate, 3 Reclaim the Fallen, 1 Enduring Loyalty, and 4 Shigani Manor Burns. It looks like they're running your promo.
Yeah. They're
20...
running 3 of my promos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they sure are, because Mana Base. Mana Base, speaking of which, is 4 Sanguine Palace, 4 Temple of Origins, 8 of each basic, and a single Primal Fisher. So not super invested in getting these tapped fetches after you find the first one. You know, really don't want to be drawing tapped fetches later on, I guess. Which seems a little weird to me. Like, there's not a whole lot to do beyond 3 mana unless you're spending a lot of mana on something. Because like your
It's mostly,
creatures
yeah,
mostly come down for less than 4 mana, and then your spells either also do that thing or they require you to have a lot more setup than just having 4 mana. Stasis also pointing out 8 basic mountains in a Reclaim the Fallen list, which yeah, that's a little suspect.
and Final Fate. Yeah, and say something. Yeah, Final Fate too.
Yeah,
Really heavy on your, really heavy
it's a
on your
little
black.
strange, but we'll see if it pans out. I mean, you are trying to go like Rooftop Slink into Audacious Rough Rider, so there is a little bit of tension there as well, where it's like, you know, Ignited Soul can at least get some sympathy through casting for either color, but Slink just has that issue of being, you know, turn 1 swamp, and then you gotta try and get the double red for Rough Rider, and your duels help with that, but your 8 swamps don't.
Mhm.
So I guess seeing a little bit of where the 2-color mana base can be a little unreliable. Sideboard is 4 Exorcist of Errors, which little shocked they aren't in the main, quite honestly. Same with the Innerings Pupil,
Mhm.
but I guess there's just matchups where they're not really super desirable. 4 Duress, I think those are much more reasonable to see in the sideboard than the Exorcists, but you know, they both do kind of play similar roles of attacking the opponent's hand, cutting resources out from under them. And then 3 Crucible of the Burning Sun, I guess just really putting the screws to the graveyard decks.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like a transformative sideboard to me. If they're worried about too much graveyard hate, you can take out all the Reanimator stuff and bring in Exorcist and Inner Rings Pupil, and that's why Crucible is there. Symmetrical graveyard hate. If you bring that in, you have to side out all your Reanimators.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, just trim the escalations, reclaims, and enduring loyalty, and then you didn't really lose too much. I guess you trim like maybe some numbers of effluvium for Crucible as well.
Yeah.
Though I do believe if you mill cards and they end up in exile instead with Crucible, it does still remember the properties of those cards. So
I'd have to ask
we
a
may see
judge.
that come up.
Effluvium has a specific wording.
Yeah, for each card milled this way. Yeah, we'd have to see how judges feel about that, but yeah. All right, moving on. We've got you returning to an old flame.
Unelectable, untranslatable, uncontainable. It's golems again. Um, so this is uh Unspeaking Titan, Unspeaking Titan, you're getting 4 of each. This is just Sultai golems. We're not flashing white or red. Uh, 2 Herald of Awakening just to get up to that critical mass of golems. 4 Husk Forger, huge gain for this deck. It has two very impactful 3-drops that it wants to play on turn 2. 4 Exorcist of Errors. Was previously on just one of those because I wanted more golems, but now I can't play Ragtag, so 4 Exorcist. And the last minute addition of 2 Jetstream Cruiser. This deck ramps a decent amount with Huskforger and Green Titan, so having a good 5-drop is nice. Jetstream also helps against control when the Titans are naturally so good against aggro. Also helping against control, 2 main deck Duress. And then you also have the 8 instants you have to play with the 4 Ozin's Blessing, 4 Reflected Echo. That's your other 8 golems, and 3 of Hang as the interaction.
Yeah. I mean, seems pretty clean.
Yeah, this deck can draw step discard people in 3 different ways. Ozin's Blessing, Reflected Echo, and Jetstream can all flash in creatures that make them discard cards on their draw step.
Oh, that's so mean. Oh my
Yeah.
god. And you can do not only can you hit them with Exorcist of Errors off of Ozon's Blessing or Echo or Cruiser, you also have Echo or Cruiser copying the Unyielding Titans and just being so profoundly rude. Turns out when we get one of these 3-mana clone spells, even when it's making 1/1s, if it has flashback and you could do it twice, that suddenly looks a lot better.
Oh yeah, this Reflected Echo has it gives you so many more draws where you just assemble Golemtron, just turn 2 Blue Titan, turn 3 Echo it, turn 4 Echo it is good enough against most aggro decks. You don't need any other cards.
Yeah, makes sense.
Mono base, this deck needs turn 1 blue and turn 1 green and turn 1 black, so the mono base is no frills. All untapped turn 1 lands, just barely meeting the mono requirements for all these spells.
Yeah. 4 paths is a lot more than I'm really expecting from any deck these days. So, curious to see how often those wind up kind of feeling a little awkward later on. But, worst case scenario, you cycle them and then you can guarantee something back from Unflinching Titans. So,
yep. The Golem is weird in that you have so many turn 1 plays and your curve is actually very low, most of it. But because of Green Titan and Huskforger, you are very capable of flooding out, and so the paths are nice.
yeah. And then if you're flooding out,
By
not only do the paths smooth out your draws, they also then still get to hit play because of Green Titan.
Yeah. Because the only other fetches here are Primal Fissure.
Yeah.
With ways of easily getting lands into graveyard.
Jetstream Cruiser also has that nice little synergy there of, you can just pitch a basic to Jetstream Cruiser or pitch a dual land to Jetstream Cruiser and then get it back with Unflinching Titan.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, that's mostly just 1 mana Surveil 1. I think it puts the land into play. I haven't tested Jetstream, but it sounds like the kind of thing I was feeling that I needed, which is like a top end threat that's not a golem and is good against control.
Yeah. Want to talk about the sideboard?
Yeah, sideboard. Against aggro, the Black Titans come out for 2 Herald of Awakening. Masksmith and Skytide Piercer are extra Ozin's Blessing targets for the matchups where they're good. 4 Downlink Overload for aggro, 1 Negate, and 2 Duress and 2 Sizcall for control. And I could just fit in 2 Thunderous Avalanche for Ruins and Hardsuit.
Okay. Seeing a lot of the 1s and 2s in that sideboard feels very much like a mainstay of your deck building style.
Yeah. To be fair, 2 of those 2s are like the other 2 of a card that's 2 of in the main, and 2 of one of are Ozin's Blessing targets.
Yeah, blessing targets, which helps a lot, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No graveyard hate in the sideboard. I just decided that I don't. All the graveyard decks, I would rather just kill them faster rather than have graveyard hate.
I feel very similarly, but also, come on, you're dissing your child Masksmith over here.
Oh yeah, they're also Masksmith is good against specifically Reanimator. It is actually very nice to have the one of to blank Reclaim the Fallen with it.
Yeah. Though I will say, you mentioned this in our playtest stream a week ago. I'm increasingly suspicious of Masksmith, especially off of Ozon's Blessing, because if you need to use it as removal, 4 mana for Ozon's Blessing into Masksmith as removal just feels so expensive. At that point, I
Oh
would
yeah.
much sooner be reaching for just a return to nature because it's half the cost. The
I mean,
value for Matt
basically,
Smith is just the body.
yeah, the value for math is by adding it, I get a inefficient mode on Ozin's Blessing, but I get 4 copies of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very
For
good
sure.
specifically against. I think I might have considered not even playing it if not for the existence of Reanimator, where it
Yeah.
is actually reasonably efficient.
I'm curious about something you chose not to run in place of Mask Smith, and we'll get to this when we get to my sideboard. We'll get into it
Oh, the
more when we get to
Reprieve
my
guy, yeah.
sideboard. The Reprieve guy. Uh, any reason you didn't reach for a Purifier of Dawnbloom Grove, especially with so many of your creatures coming with enter triggers?
I definitely could have considered it. Um, Mostly like I only wanted to devote 1 sideboard slot to this, and I wanted the ability to check Reanimator as well with it. Is the main
That
reason.
that seems super fair.
Like to be honest, there's not that many artifacts and enchantments in this format I care about destroying.
Yeah,
There's
that
like
seems reasonable.
giant Wayward Drex, maybe.
Yeah. I have a little more reason to want it
Uh,
because it blows up archival storage even without Reprieve being active. Um,
oh
but
yeah.
I also value it as just, it's a way for Ozon's Blessing to be anti-removal. Just
Well, that is
opponent
true. That is
opponent
neat.
uses a removal spell, you just reprieve out something even if you have no good targets.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this does work.
Yeah.
That's neat tech. Anyways, we're kind of talking about your deck now.
Yeah, let's get into my deck. I think shocking nobody. We got a Squee Goblin Nabob in the new set, and I decided to break out an Old Flame in Foreign Encounter. I'm on another red-green looter stompy deck, but I have added a bit of spice because I'm not just on red and green. So this is a Jund Survivor stompy deck. I am
I see
splashing
exactly 1 black card.
yeah, 1 black card in the main, 2 in the sideboard, or I guess 2-ish in the sideboard. In 4 of Exorcist of Errors in the main, which actually has a fun story with it, which is specifically just that in early attempts for me to kind of squeeze the black splash in, there were no swamps in the main deck. There were just a couple black shocks, and the black splash mostly came from 1 swamp, 4 Exorcist, 4 Ozon's Blessing in the sideboard. And then I decided I wanted to have more sideboard slots for things that actually need to sit in the sideboard because they aren't always great in every matchup. And so I said, well, let's get the best of these sideboard cards in the main. So very aggressive strategy. We have very little to do at 3 mana and above, but we do have some very powerful things to do at 3 mana. Primarily, the reason we're still in green, despite blue having so much good to do with looters here, is that Huskforger Acolyte is amazing. It gets
Oh yeah, it sure is.
it gets this deck to do something that it wished it could do so much in May, which is turn 2 Fabricated Anomalies and turn 2 Foreign Encounters. And that is just such a powerful way to start out the game. That it can kind of salvage a lot of very awkward hands just from the merit of getting an anomaly on 2. And it also allows double spelling on turn 2 through 1 drop plus 1 of the 2 drops, provided the mana lines up for that. Has a nice synergy with Calamity Cat, which I've actually already gotten to do in some playtesting, where you Calamity Cat, discard a card, untap the Huskforger Acolyte to make a second colorless mana. I used this in a playtesting match where I got to tap Huskforger Acolyte, knew the opponent was likely holding up a Quench because they left exactly 2 mana up and they were a mono blue deck. And they had continuously interacted with my Fabricated Anomalies with Preemption Daemon. So I tapped Huskforger for 2 colorless, and then tapped one of my 3 lands for mana, holding 2 lands up for the Fabricated Anomaly, knowing full well if my opponent counters the anomaly with a Quench, I have the mana up to pay for it, and if they let the anomaly through, I've got a 2-drop to follow it up with. It's a little awkward because Acolyte wants to be done at instant speed and Calamity Cat must be activated at sorcery speed, so there's a little clunkiness in that regard, but it's just there are a lot of cool things to let this deck kind of jump up in mana more than it could at first appearance. And then you get to just play good 2-drops. Gilded Noon Entertainer, Exorcist of Errors, Reaper, Blossoms, all really, really good 2-drops. Very solid stat lines. Annoying to pick off on the 2/3s, and then Gilded Noon Entertainer is just a nightmare to block. I'm on 4 Ignited Souls, similarly annoying to block, and then just gets the engine rolling so well. And then beyond the anomalies, we got 6 Squeeze. I'm on 2 Spirit Realm Phoenix because Acolyte just makes paying that 1 mana tax to get it back a little more doable, and it is still just a great hit off of Foreign Encounter. One of the last changes that I made was I trimmed a 3rd Phoenix, and I'll just say it out loud. I was trying a 1 of Spiky for a while, Jack's Gravetiller. I was on 18 lands, and while 18 lands had plenty of games that I was doing in playtesting where it didn't feel like it was too detrimental just because of how low the curve was and how reliably I could still get lands into play, I ultimately was like, it hurts me in the mulligan so much, and Spiky is just such a rough card that I wanted to cut Spiky for a land, and then truly no genuine reason why I cut the 3rd Phoenix for the 20th land, other than wanting to make mulligans a little better.
Yeah, 20 lands is already scaring me a little. I can't imagine going to 18.
It's still sketchy, but I was skating by on 18 lands for a while with this deck and still feeling pretty happy, even with really rough mulligans. But I wanted to make the mulligans a little better. So 2 Phoenix and then 4 Dawnsword Survivor. I have a theory. And part of why I'm very happy to be playing this deck as a survivor deck with green is because I know a lot of people, myself included, have said the body is really just kind of irrelevant, and the main function of this card is that it pays for the discard costs on all of your discard effects for the rest of the game. And it does do that. That is the primary function of this card, and if it didn't do that, this deck wouldn't exist in the way that it does. But I have a theory, which is that this being a castable spell makes it better, especially when you have a 1-drop that makes this a 5/4 trampler with haste. So
interesting idea. I've never considered casting this card.
I don't anticipate I'll cast it often, but Survivor plus Calamity Cat is a lot of damage out of nowhere. Not necessarily out of nowhere, it's pretty telegraphed, but it is a lot of damage. And then
Your other Survivor to do that.
Yeah. And then sorceries, we got 4 Foreign Encounter, hits 30 of the 34 creatures. And one of the goals was that because I'm so low on 3-drops, I only have 4 anomalies, 2 phoenixes. I really needed the 2-drops to be relevant enough to carry encounter hits, which is why I was so keen on having Exorcist of Errors and Reaper of Blossoms and Gilded Noon Entertainer. Exorcist and Reaper just are so much harder to kill once they have a +1/+1 counter. And then Gilded Noon Entertainer becomes even more of a headache to block when it gets a +1/+1 counter. It's part of why I was so keen to get them in a Calamity Cat shell as well. But yeah, this is a baby for me. I love my looter decks. I love Squee Goblin Nabobs. And the way that this deck can just lay on so much board presence is a lot. I think the thing I'm missing most from my May build of this deck, back prior to like all of the nerfs in June, is actually one of the cards from this deck that got buffed instead of nerfed in Kieran of Boons. Because the counter synergies just really aren't there anymore, and they never really truly were there. There were just so many really inconsistent counter synergies in that deck, and so I ultimately decided to kind of shed the counter synergies to make room for just better generic cards like Entertainer, like Exorcist of Errors, Husk Forger, Reaper, and the counter synergies had to fall by the wayside. And the one thing I'm really missing from all of that is the unblockability. And I'll just pull it up on stream here of Kieran of Boons, because I will still stand by this, and I say as much in the deck tech I've already recorded. I think this is the most unfair thing that deck was doing in May. Just, turning off blockers altogether. It's why I think Regice is so strong, is because it just disables blockers altogether, and in that same regard, Kieran of Boons is so strong at doing that.
I never play decks that that plan on blocking anyway. So
Yeah.
I was never that afraid of Kieran of Boons.
Yeah, that's super
But
fair.
yeah, specifically the fact that it cares about power is nice with all the 2/3 running around.
Yeah, for sure. Especially now that it's been changed to check after it resolves rather than when it targets. So it works better with Fabricated Anomaly now, though it still looks awkward with Anomaly just on the basis of Anomaly not causing Kieran to trigger for creatures that are getting their first counter, which is part of why it still didn't ultimately make the cut. If one of the things that I had been championing at the time of end of May going into previews was I had been championing Kieran of Boons losing that entire second paragraph altogether and just having Menace. I would probably be playing it if it had Menace.
Yeah, it's just weird uncommon, I guess, and it was that.
Yeah. Tricky thought to design. I understand why it got shifted to the way that it did, but it just kind of still stacks up awkwardly with our best +1/+1 counter synergy card. But yeah, 34 creatures, 6 sorceries. I've got 2 Abominable Avalanche with 2 more in the sideboard. I was also experimenting briefly with having the full playset of this in the main. It's nice that this is something I can mill off of my Reaper of Blossoms, or I can loot it away if I need to, rummage it away if I need to, and can still turn this into some value later on by getting a 3/3 out of this as I cast a bunch of spells in the mid to late game. The 3/3 Trampler is pretty relevant with things like Fabricated Anomaly and Calamity Cat getting to scale those stats even further. But ultimately, I felt like I didn't need the full playset of this in the main. In part because I think there are scenarios where I will just be happy to loot this away rather than cast it. Because ultimately, three damage for 3 mana, really good, especially when you can split it up. But there are just times where I want to invest in the board more than I want to invest in targeted damage. Yeah, 20 lands, 4 of the red-green shock, 3 each of the other shock lands, 3 of each of my core basic lands, and then 1 swamp, and 3 primal fissures. Sideboard is a little transformative. I've got a playset of Ozon's Blessing and 2 of each of 3 different blessing targets. 2 of each, both because there are things that I could feasibly mill over with Reaper of Blossoms or need to rummage past if I don't need them in the moment with my looting effects. So having 2 copies of them to get them more reliably with Ozon's Blessing is nice. And also just, getting more consistency in finding them helps as well. Purify of Dawnbloom Grove, I mentioned earlier, I think is just one of the best Ozon's Blessing targets. Getting to pick things off is just going to be really nice at instant speed. I have no graveyard hate in this deck. I personally have the same plan as you towards graveyard decks, which is just kill them. But I know people are likely to have graveyard hate for me, and the big one that I was mindful of was archival storage because it comes down so cheaply. Purifier just happens to pick that off without any effort. But Purifier does have that secondary mode of being protection off of Ozon's Blessing, where if someone casts a removal spell targeting, say, your Gilded Noon Entertainer or your Exorcist of Errors, you can Purifier that creature back to hand off of Ozon's Blessing and protect it. Also has a little bit of value where if you draw it, you can use it to pick up a Fabricated Anomaly and then get another puzzle box when you replay the anomaly. Though that I imagine will come up a lot less often. Can also pick up a stray like Husk Forger Acolyte or Ignited Soul that's just not able to get in anymore, and return that to your hand so you have a cheaper creature that you can rummage away. Or even, you can just pick up a creature to recast afterwards to trigger Dawnsword Survivor. So there's a lot of nice things that Purifier does for the deck. The others I'm a little suspect on, and I will see if I ever feel like I need them in a particular matchup, but it was mostly just things I felt could be interesting for the slot. Anik Oathbound and Davika Severed I have been really, really low on and pretty vocal about as much since the pretty reasonable change to give Davika a passive where if she gets put into a graveyard, she gets exiled instead. I understand why that's there,
same.
but the +1 is just so awkward now. Ultimately, this was kind of a split between recognizing this is kind of a pseudo sideboard tool for like aggro matchups. Because this deck gets to just put a lot of bodies on the board pretty quickly, Anik can actually be pretty real for padding the life total if need be, which is especially relevant with half of my mana base being shocklands. But also it is a tool that I'm perfectly fine to rummage away because the primary value here long term is from the graveyard, and with a mana base that is half shocklands, it's going to be pretty reasonable that I hit that vigor condition to cast her as Devika and then just -1 my opponent 3 times. And that's fine. I'm perfectly happy to have her as a -1 3 times if I need her to be.
I think that's for main mode. It's just -1 3 times.
Yeah, just -1 3
Be
times,
annoying.
and then if my opponent doesn't have anything in play, I might as well make 2/2s and gain 2 life. And hey, maybe that lets me get to the emblem, and then my opponent just can never properly kill me because I'm going to be gaining a bunch of life as I try to murder them. And then hey,
You
she's
gotta
a
tell
lava
me about this
axe.
Moonlight Adversary.
Moonlight Adversary, I am actually more excited about than Anik. So Moonlight Adversary, I actually almost put in the main deck. There is and this is kind of true of each of the blessing targets in the sideboard. They are all multifaceted. So Purifier has the like artifact and enchantment removal mode, has the protection mode, has the like pick up a creature so you can get a second spell for Dawnsworn Survivor mode. Anik has both the like anti-aggro life gain component as well as the like grindy mid-rangey just -1 make my opponent sacrifice a permanent 3 turns in a row component. Moonlight Adversary's 2 components come from the 2 abilities on the card. The enter trigger can be really nice with a bunch of rummaging engines set up because it allows me to pay a bunch of life and rebuy a bunch of cards that I discarded in a turn to completely overhaul the card advantage I have over my opponent, even harder than something like Survivor or Phoenix could do. And the discard mode lets me, once I've started to set up, really take advantage of the fact that I do not have what the previous iteration of this deck did, which is a way to punch through board stalls. The best way I can punch through board stalls is something like Spirit Realm Phoenix, which punches in the air for kind of small amounts of damage a lot of the times. Adversary gets around that by just letting me rip through my deck, shred my hand, send it to the graveyard, and draw new cards to replace them, and then chip away at the opponent turn after turn after turn for like 3, 4, 5 damage just from my discards, especially once I start to get set up.
Yep.
The only reason it didn't make the main deck is because of the stat line, because I was so invested in making sure that my creatures could handle early removal, cheap removal. I just couldn't justify Moonlight Adversary in the main. But I'm really excited to try to find a window to get this some reps, because I think this could be really cool in a deck like this. And then the last 5 boards.
Are you thinking you're gonna bring it in? Like, I guess Moonlight Adversary, you're gonna bring it in mostly against like mid-range decks with big creatures. That's the situation.
Kind of, yeah. I'm thinking like primarily mid-range decks where they're trying to kind of gum up the board, keep me from being able to swing in too much. I may honestly just have moments where if I feel like there are creatures in my deck that don't quite do enough in the particular matchup, if I see that they have no like 1 mana removal, no downlink overloads or shocks, and honestly I think if they have downlink overloads they probably trim those anyways in game 2, just because downlink overloads mill component is such a liability against my deck and hits so few things in my deck that I feel like I could really get away
16
with
cards.
Yeah, it hits 16 cards in the early turns, and later on they start to get not hit by those cards. For an encounter into Gilded Noon Entertainer means that Entertainer doesn't get hit by that anymore. Spirit Realm Phoenix off of Foreign Encounter means that it doesn't get hit by Downlink Overload anymore. So it starts to get a little awkward and falls off over the course of the game, and of course, the longer the game goes, the more that mill component starts to be a real liability against me. In those matchups, I feel like I may just see if there's a card in my deck I am less enthusiastic about, and then I can bring Adversary in those matchups just to see if I like them. I probably would do playtesting in those matchups beforehand to make sure that I like Adversary in those matchups, but maybe we'll get to see them. And then 2 more Avalanche and 3 Terminal Impact in the sideboard, because I do agree that 1 mana interaction is important, and I felt what's better for 1 mana interaction than something that can both kill Huskforge or Acolyte on turn 1 and also kill the opponent on turn 5.
Yep. Love Terminal Impact in this meta.
It would be either Terminal Impact or Firebolt, and I ultimately felt that while the flashback on Firebolt was really nice, uncounterability and scalability, especially when I can do things like Acolyte with Calamity Cat, is just nicer.
Oh yeah, ignores ward on golems. That's
Ignores
super. That's
ward on
something I'm super
golems.
afraid of.
Really, really important.
It's still 3 mana to kill a 2 mana golem.
It's still 3 mana to kill a 2 mana golem. There's no winning when you're trying to kill golems. I'm not looking forward to those matchups. But yeah,
Yeah.
Good to move on.
This deck looks sweet. I love that we're seeing so many different survivor decks, including. I don't know when this transformative sideboard is going to happen, but I'm excited to see when it does. You kind of fake your opponent out with that.
Yeah. Play some mind games.
Okay, let's move on. It has been 50 minutes. We have done 4 decks, so maybe we go.
Yes. Well, we had a lot to talk about with our decks, so.
That's fair. Magma Dragons I've been reading ahead trying to understand what's going on with Magma Dragon's deck. There are 2 ideas here. Idea number 1, this is a Ruin deck. We got 4 Haven of the Wild Ones in the lands, and then we have, which is like the Ruin that spell charges for just 2, but it's a 1/4 Vigilance.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's 3 Archaic Straggler, that's the 1 mana Ruin that spell charges for 3, but you can catch from your graveyard. 4 Aspect of the End, that's another spell charge 3, and 4 Vanquished Conqueror. So like not the big ruins, no Gelsis, just the spell charge 2 and 3, 1 and 2 mana ruins. And then we also have Herald of Awakening as our Ruin synergy card, as like 1 mana 2/2 golem, draw the card if you just straight up draw the card if you control ruins, if you control a ruin, and can attack if your ruins are attacking. And then the second idea of this deck is that it's also a weather deck, but it only plays 1 weather, and that weather is Sandstorm. So there are 9 different Acclimate cards in the main, 2 Tankies, 3 Sandstorm Dancers, and 4 Gloomy Meteorologist. And as I said, the only card they can get is the 3 of Sandstorm in the sideboard. And then apart from those packages, there is 4 Chorus of 1. Nope. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea why Chorus of 1 over any other one drop, but it's a fine card.
I know why this is here. And I worry that it's gonna hurt Magma in the long term. My suspicion was a conclusion that, what hits spell charge 3 requirements, a 3 mana ability from my graveyard, and that's not quite gonna do it.
No, it don't. That's not. Spell charge cares about casting spells specifically.
Yep. This is a wild deck.
So it's good with weather, but it's Yeah, hey, Magma, you're in chat. Could you tell us why Chorus of 1? I mean, it's a cool card.
It's a really cool card. I am confused.
Angel Warlock, which is a cool type line.
Oh, for sure. I will just take a moment.
Other than the 4 Haven is just the normal 15 dual land you expect in a blue-black deck, 2 islands, 3 swamp.
We have an answer,
so
by the way.
Very good mana.
It's here exclusively for Sandstorm.
Oh,
it's a cheap,
we want a cheap evasive card so
attacker.
We can keep triggering Sandstorm.
Yeah, and on that merit, what's really good with every turn make your opponent lose 2 and you gain 2. A 2 mana 2/2 Ruin that increases all instances of life loss for the opponent.
Yeah, that's like the crossover synergy between these 2 packages.
Gloomy Meteorologist also some nice crossover there.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Also in the sideboard, 2 Dormant Monstrosity, presumably like anti-control, 3 Downlink Overload. We've all been talking about like needing this cheap removal for certain aggro decks. 3 Final Fate, also more removal. Doesn't cost you life like Sovereign's Execution does. 2 Venerable Veteran. This is a cool there's no graveyard synergy in the main deck except kind of the death trigger on Vanquish Conqueror. So they're not going to bring in Graveyard Hate, and so you can bring in Venerable Veteran as this kind of grindy engine, and it also keeps triggering your ruins, keeps letting you spell charge. Keeps being a thing that can attack through Sandstorm. And then 2 Golden Bloom of the Silence, which is for random planeswalkers and such, I assume.
Yeah, this seems sweet. I know Magma got some reps in with Ruins last month playing Gelthus in the Brawl tournament. It seems that might have stuck for Ulduin's final season. Nice to see Ruins getting repped with
Yeah, oh yeah, get
Uldoon
someone.
celebrating its 21st
Yeah,
month in the format.
it is true. I wasn't expecting ruins. I was expecting ruins, but I was expecting like the red black ruins that got deck lists. This is a completely
Yeah.
different ruins build.
Yeah, this is sweet.
Uh, I know it's your turn, but you can talk with the next deck. Although I think this is the deck that I built
In that case, I'll just let you take the lead on this, and I'll just talk about the next two.
because this is green white Vow, but this is not like the green white Vow that Leia had, like the more control oriented version. This is my green white Vow from my like 12 decks video, uh, which you can tell because I have like the very unpolished sideboard. But the idea here is this is a 4 of Vow's Reflection deck. So we have cheap creatures to bounce, including 3 Huskforger Acolyte, 3 Melon, 3 Softlight Harmonists, which can also bounce other creatures. What are we blinking and bouncing? We got 1 of Renowned Rough Rider to make a bunch of tokens, 3 Dawnspark Vanguard to dig up a bunch of lands and keep hitting our land drops, 2 Male Demon just to keep drawing cards as we go through things, and the big hit, 4 of Survivors of the New World. By blinking and bouncing Survivors of the New World, you get so many more Survivors tokens. So it's kind of a slow mid-range deck with a really grindy late game. Also helped by 2 of Dawnham Herald, another way to pick up your creatures and deal with various problems. And Darisha Stack Exec. That's kind of a way to turn all these dorky creatures into real threats, especially Survivors. Uh, the other blink spell is 3 of the Dutiful Wanderer, which can once again blink all of the nicely blinkable things. It even works with Survivors. 2 Sanctum of Oppression as removal that also blinks things. 1 Cassus Belly, just once again lots of small creatures. I thought it would be nice. And 2 Advance of the Quiet Moon as kind of catch-all answers. This is a slow deck, so it needs catch-all answers for various weird permanents like the white battles out of battle control. Mono base is heavily tilted towards white because of Darisha and Renowned Rough Rider and Cassus Belly and Advance of Quiet Moon, all those heavy white spells. Um, yeah, this is the list I kind of put together with no playtesting because it was like in the decklist video before the format had actually started. Um, but I'm still like these cards are all good. There's not like bad cards in this deck. It's just probably like a more polished list would have like fewer like male demons and mask smiths and vanguards and more like rough riders and husk forgers, just like the normal good like the good cards TM.
Yeah, though I think this deck could still put in some work. I will say, while our playtest stream definitely cooled my thoughts on a certain 1 mana 2/1 that gives your spells Convoke, though I still think that
Mm-hmm.
card is kind of nuts. Radiant Devotee is when it works really stupidly well. But the biggest lesson I took away from that is that Softlight Harmonist is a really simple, sweet card. And while
Yeah,
I don't think
like
it'll be format defining by any measure, I would not be surprised to see a lot of this over the next 2 years here and there.
it just the only 1 drop I'm really happy to pick up with it right now is Melon is the main problem. If there was like a second 1 drop I really like to pick up with it, then I'd be much higher on it.
No love for Herald of Awakening? I
No,
think about it. White blue ruins. You pick up your Herald of Awakening. Replay Herald. You get to just purely draw a card if you've got a ruin in play.
if you're doing the ruins things, like I don't think any of the good ruins are blue, so or white. So
Yeah,
you're
but
gonna be
see,
really
this
weird
is why
colors for that.
you're actually playing Bant Golems, um, and your only ruins are maybe you have like Haven of the Wild Ones, but otherwise, your primary ruin is the land searching one.
I seriously considered putting some number of ruins in my deck so Herald of Awakening had at least a chance of not discarding a card, but like none of them seemed good enough for the
Yeah,
deck.
I will say I am a sucker for Slumbering Grove. I think that I think I like it over in most cases I like it over the surface spell that goes and finds basics.
Ooh,
Um,
that's tough. I
yeah,
think like
I
if
do
you
like both.
specifically have Herald, I think justify it. I think Harvest Time is just a very strong card.
Yeah, I think Harvest
Um,
Time and Slumbering Grove are both pretty good. You know, I think it's just worth keeping them in mind as just like they're land cyclers. They're land cyclers with additional text.
They are.
Um,
Yeah, turn one has gotten a lot more contested in my green decks because of Husk Forger.
yeah,
Like
that is the
I
big
I
complication.
I have free mana on turn one much less often now.
Yeah.
Anyways, the green white Vow decks. The sideboard has a bunch of random things for dealing with board wipes. There's virtualized onomastic. For enchantments and graveyards, there's finalizer. 3 hungry blob for small artifact enchantment tokens. Rosin as a kind of sticky threat that can go over the top of other mid-range decks. Fire Ascendant as a really big threat that can really go over the top of other mid-range decks. Lunate Charm does actually 3 different relevant sideboard things, but the most relevant one is the just giving things hexproof. And Swift Approach deals with battles and planeswalkers. And a lot of these sideboard cards are things that you can also bounce and blink, especially like Finalizer and Blob. Ooh, Stasis suggesting Ozin's Blessing. Yeah, that'd be real sick. Putting Ozin's Blessing. There's tons of like green, white, blinky, bouncy things, also in blue. I don't think any of them are like, wow, this is so powerful that it kind of lifts up the rest of the deck, the same way that Anomaly is for all the looter decks.
Yeah. Uh, pour out a cold one for Tsubasa Shigane. Really wants to be
Oh, yeah,
that,
that's
but
that card's not very good.
we'll see how next July treats him.
Hmm.
I have to imagine that's going to be on Prov's short list for next July.
Well, I mean, Prov only gets 10 buffs, and there are you can't spend you don't want to spend all of them on ninjas. So maybe some of the ninjas
Maybe,
might
yeah.
still get left
Well,
behind.
so I think Prov could maybe afford to spend like 7 buffs on ninjas.
There are other themes in this deck.
I know.
Why not Exalted? Exalted doesn't get a little love.
Nah, Exalted doesn't deserve.
Okay,
Listen,
fair enough.
I
What?
as much as I diss it, Mastery has at least seen play. Where's Secrecy?
That's fair. Uh, I have heard some words that like the white blue flow stuff might actually like be coming out of the woodwork this month. So that'd be exciting to
Yeah,
see.
if not this month, then maybe next month for sure.
Okay. You want to take over for the next 2 decks?
Sure thing. We've got Wiffle on a Graveyard Bash. 4 Huskforger Acolyte, 1 Writhling. Only 1 Writhling, but 1 Writhling nonetheless. Interesting. 4 Reaper of Blossoms. Oh, I'm starting to recognize some things going on here. 4 Exorcist of Errors, 2 Catabolist, 2 Spiky Jack's Gravetiller, and my old flame 4 Sporeback Jarga. Ooh. With 3 Jack Monster Mentor, 4 Downlink Overload, 2 of the new Dulcairn Charm. Oh, I see. You're also allowed to buff any cards that feature hot guys in the art because of the flavor. That is correct, Stasis. Prov is allowed to. And Prov also says 9 ninja buffs and 1 on Zuhan. Anyways, 2 of the new Dulcairn Charm, 1 Sovereign's Execution, 4 Revivified Wrath, and 2 Pact Beyond Death. I also just realized Akibot is showing the battles as type other.
Whoops.
Huh. I guess I will point that out to Gaijin. Unless
Sorry,
somebody else beats
Gaijin.
me to the punch. 24 lands here. We got 2 Gallows Sprout Timbers and 1 Forgotten Junkyard for a bit of utility here. I've not been super high on Junkyard. I think that discard mode is just really, really, really limp compared to some of the other ERR fetches. Especially when, like, if you look at this list, there are no enchantments. So it really is just, like, 6 mana, regrow a creature.
Yeah. Look, to be fair, when I designed ERR, this was like the height of black green and Sultai graveyard ramp
Oh, for
control
sure.
being a thing.
For sure. This was
I was
also,
like, they
you
don't get
designed
any fun.
ERR while we still had Theros Tracks, where this could be read by like a Ominous Slaughter. So I understand.
I designed it while we still had pre-nerf Scosa.
Yeah, for sure. So I fully understand why it is what it is. I'm not super thrilled about it.
They get no treats.
Yeah, I'm not super thrilled about this card in the current era of the format, anyways.
Yeah, that's why I like that.
But I am excited to see Gallows Sprout Timber. I think this card is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Otherwise, pretty simple mana base: 3 forests, 6 swamps, which I think makes sense with the Timbers wanting to see you have a swamp, anyways. Though it is a little awkward that 6 swamps versus 3 forests means that you're more likely to have a basic in hand that can't cast Husk Forger on turn 1.
Yeah, it's 15 turn 1 green sources, so you meet your Karsten quota for Acolyte.
Yeah, I will also say, I think if there has ever been a Husk Forger deck we've seen this month that does not care for turn 1 Husk Forger, it is this deck. Because, like, what are you doing on turn 3 that really demands you have an Acolyte? Spiky is almost never coming down the moment you can cast it because of the additional
Really
cost
funny.
there. And then, like, you have no other spells at 3 mana. Like, the most it really
It's
does
Reaper
for you
plus
is
pay for
you let
Reaper is the
Reaper
main
plus pay for
answer.
Reaper. Yeah, that's pretty much the big one, I think. Or otherwise,
Yeah.
you just like
I-
Reaper or Exorcist plus cast another Acolyte, maybe.
Yeah.
I
I played around with black green mid range a ton this month, and like that is the problem. There's just like not a lot of great 3-drops. I think the answer is actually Programmed Pursuer. That's actually the best 3-drop in these colors that you can ramp into.
I can see that. Just pulling it up for chat here. 3 minutes,
It's in the
1
sideboard.
4. Oh, it's in the sideboard? Oh, hey, yeah, sure it is. Speaking of 3-drops, there's also Vardo Revelin and Dreadchant Warcaller. This is where the 3-drops went. Speaking of sideboard, there are 2 copies of Inklight Dancer for removal, and I love the sacrifice mode, especially if you're a Jack deck. I think I love Inklight Dancer. I think it is quietly one of the strongest cards that just casually exists in Kitsuo, and it's quietly that because there's not a lot worth hyping up about it, but there's just so much that it does that nothing else really gets to sit in the same slot as. It's not as efficient as something like Downlink Overload for sure, but it is a Downlink Overload that draws you a card functionally.
Right.
And it's yet another case of 3 toughness just being so relevant right now. Speaking of 3 toughness, Vardo Revelin. I almost tried in my deck. I was not super sold on it, but I'm interested to see if it ever comes out of Wiffle's sideboard here. 3 Programmed Pursuer, like you mentioned, just such a good threat right now, just for drawing cards, generating advantage. 1 for Death Toucher is just such a headache to try and deal with in combat, and while it doesn't kill very quickly, the card advantage it provides, especially in multiples, can kind of help you get to murdering your opponent more reliably. 1 of Dreadchant Warcaller, nice with anything that kind of adjusts your life total, which, hey, Jack Monster Mentor, Writhling, Reaper of Blossoms, all decently good at doing that, especially since Reaper of Blossoms and Warcaller now work correctly together, where Warcaller will make the 2/2 with Reaper of Blossoms in play. If Reaper is where you get the life gain. I think I do agree with what Stasis is pointing out here. 2 mana -2/-2 is pretty poorly positioned right now. Yeah, it is the thing kind of holding back Inklight Dancer to me. It's why it's not in my deck. Despite my love for Inklight Dancer, I think it's a little shy of being true greatness these days. 3 Life Hacker, just nice solid mid-rangey threat. And that level up cost, I still get a little suspicious of the level up cost, but it's just a real body, even without any other activations. 1 Downlink Overload, and then 4 Culling Ritual, just saying absolutely no thank you to any sort of cheap deck, any sort of tokens deck. Low curve, no thank you. Get out of here.
It's a lot of your own cards. But I also
it
had
sure
in my
does hit a
sideboard
lot of
for
your own
Island.
cards. I think every time you Culling Ritual with any amount of effort put in across the game by Catabolist, you are shedding some tears.
Yeah, you get
uh,
the mana back. That's not bad.
yeah, you get the mana back. You lose all of the ticks that you generated from Catabolist. You also lose your Pact Beyond Deaths, which I guess, if you've defeated Pact Beyond Death isn't the most tragic thing, but if you haven't, it can be pretty rough. But yeah. And then Epid is on a very refined deck as he sips a drink. It's blue-red looters.
This is Stasis's list.
Yeah, so this is blue-red looters, another Dawnsworn Survivor Fabricated Anomaly deck with a lot of the goodies in blue and red. We've got Ignited Soul again, Gilded Noon Entertainer, Fabricated Anomaly, Dawnsworn Survivor. Only 3 of the survivors compared to me on being 4. Not sure if this is helpful, but if you go to the matchup screen, click on a deck, click on the blue arrow next to the name, then hit change view. Yeah, I know that we can do this. It's just a case of I like doing it this way just for the sake of going through the decks in order that they were submitted. It does lead to being a little awkward for presenting on stream here, but it's also a case of wanting to kind of evaluate these without knowing what the matchups are going to be in round 1. Stasis says actually was going down to 2 survivors in this deck, which I think makes sense, especially when you have things like Scuttling Cicada and Igneous Visions, Coordinated Shot, things that actually get value from being in your graveyard. As you go up to more and more of those, Survivor starts to look a little more awkward because it's a card that does nothing in your hand, unlike Cicada, unlike Igneous Visions, unlike Shot. Where these have a mode in your hand as you want them to, but they are also things you have no issue pitching. So I think the 2 survivor makes a lot more sense in that context. And speaking of enough looters that Deep Cheddar Arcanist is here as just an attack looter as well. Though I believe Stasis had said was looking at the 1 mana enter loot with Wander. To just keep recasting it from play, because that triggers Dawnsworn Survivor when you wander it, and then it's a looter you have more control over rather than having to attack. Though that has its own issues with not necessarily being the best with Fabricated Anomaly, because if you cast it, you lose the counters.
Yeah. I know Stasis has been refining this list a lot. This is, I think, one of the midpoints of its evolution.
Yeah, this is a deck that has definitely changed a lot since Stasis settled on this version. But there's still a lot of good things that are happening here. The 2 Gift of Inspiration. Now that this card is finally seeing play, I think people are finally starting to see why this card can be really good, especially when you just have cheap, evasive, annoying creatures like Ignited Soul, or things that are just headache.
The 1 card PTM added to my mono red deck.
Yeah. 3 research grant. Progress is just such a strong enchantment, especially on a deck that's as low curve as this one is. 4 terminal impacts, just a really good cheap removal spell. 23 lands with 4 Temple, 4 Fissure, 4 Misty Peak, 2 Rousing Path, and then a 5/4 split of Mountains and Islands. Sideboard here is 2 Mistrit Archivist, which I am increasingly liking. I actually really, really like Archivist, especially if you're an Anomaly deck. This just gets the first counter for free.
Yep.
Which I think is just so sweet. And then who the hell is, especially in the midpoint of the game, or the early turns of the game, who the hell is ever blocking a 1/6 profitably? You can probably jump block it, but
impossible to interact with.
Yeah, this is just such a headache to deal with, especially once it starts building up counters. And Anomaly plus Archivist is so good at building up counters.
Yeah, it's 2 low impacts you'll want to spend removal on, and it takes 2 mana removal to kill. But you can't just let it sit there and keep attacking. Even if it dies on the first attack, it still drew 2 cards and forced them to keep creatures back.
Yeah.
Very annoying card.
Yeah, I have started really liking this and been putting it in more of my blue decks, especially as they start to skew a bit slower. But yeah, Mr. Archivist is just such a sweet card. Turns out drawing a card for you every turn is a hallmark of good 3-drops. Pass Judgment, really solid. Counter Magic, especially when you have so many cheap creatures that are turning sideways. Discern, nice bit of card advantage. Just card selection from hand since it's just a pure cantrip, but card advantage when you consider the flashback mode. It's better think twice. It's one less mana for think twice out of your hand, and then the same flashback cost from the graveyard. Bleeding out is just solid burn for 2 mana. The trample clause on the damage is really nice. Burn to Obscenity is also just a lot of damage for the cost. I am always a fan of 3 mana deal 4s. They're always something that you kind of get to shrug at because 3 mana can be a lot to ask for burn damage. But like we've been playing 3 mana deal 3s that get some cost reduction since the dawn of time in Rev, and the next best thing compared to a 3 mana deal 3 that can sometimes cost 1 is if you're gonna accept that sometimes your burn spell can cost 3, why not have it deal 4 instead? Clears bigger things, circumvents the big toughness threshold situation we're in right now, which is that there are so many things that want to sit at 3 toughness, and so a single +1/+1 counter puts them out of range of a lot of stuff. Burn to Obscurity just says, okay, cool, fuck you with the +1/+1 counter you wrote in on. And
a bunch of random things that killed, like Program Pursuer, Life Hacker.
Life Hacker, Program Pursuer for sure. Again, any of the strong 2/3s with a +1/+1 counter, which happens to be one of the best 3-drops in the format, often is a 3/4 the turn after you play it. So, Burn to Obscurity just has so many things it checks, and because it hits anything, 3 mana deal 4 to the face is very, very good in terms of what you're willing to pay for damage.
Yep. Stasis pointing out that Discern is the replacement for Igneous Visions when you have to bring in 3-drops and counter spells, because that makes Igneous Visions a lot worse.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Otherwise, like removal and 3-drop threats to play mid range, advance a Fire and Faith, the last card against tokens.
Yeah, that also tracks. I've been liking Advance of Fire and Faith more as well. It is the card in my deck that almost made the sideboard the most, and as I shifted to more of an Ozon's Blessing plan in the sideboard, that sort of just ate into the slots I had for Advanced Fire Faith. I think the damage it asks of you is a real cost, but 3 damage to let this give your creatures haste for the rest of the game is just, and it in a lot of cases it really truly is for the rest of the game, rather than just until it gets removed, because of how frustrating removing with battles can be sometimes. That this just getting to give your Fabricated Anomalies and your Entertainers haste, your surfaced buzzing metamorphs haste, that like there is a lot of goodies to gain out of that, and especially when you consider that
I forget you can defeat this thing.
Yeah, you can defeat this thing pretty easily, in fact, because a Buzzing Metamorph defeats it, because a Gilded Noon Entertainer defeats it, a Fabricated Anomaly with a single +1/+1 counter defeats it, Terminal Impact defeats it for 3 mana, Coordinated Shot defeats it single-handedly, Bleeding Out defeats it. So there's a lot of ways to defeat this pretty trivially.
Yeah.
For just
Bleeding Out tramples over creatures and planeswalkers. It doesn't trample over battles.
Doesn't trample over battles, though, because it's 3 damage to a 3 defense battle. I'm not sure how often that will matter.
My main thing of Advance of Fire and Faith is that you bring it in against aggro, and so when you bring it in, you're almost always the control deck. And so by the time you're attacking with creatures, you've probably mostly won the game anyways.
Yeah, that is super fair. But yeah,
it's a little bit of an oversimplification. You can get into these like back and forth things with some of the aggro decks.
Yeah, that's very true as well. Especially if the aggro deck in question is golems. Although I don't think you're ever boarding in deal 2 to creatures against golems.
No, you bring it against EO. It's specifically for EO.
Yeah, although I'm not even sure how much it is an EO check, because EO makes this have no text.
It's good against all the other things that are good with EO.
Yeah.
I will say one thing that I've found playtesting this deck that was really annoying about the old version of this deck before we had Coordinated Shot. Sometimes you're forced to cast Frontside Scuttling Cicada to like flip your research grant or just to get a blocker in play. but then often your opponent will just ignore your Cicada, and you'll be stuck with this 1/1 on board that you just wish was in your graveyard. They won't block it, they won't attack into it. And Coordinated Shot gives you a way to put the Cicada from play into your graveyard, so it can become the good version.
Yeah. I think my one big point of suspicion with Cicada, and this is true of a lot of surface cards, is I'm really sketched out on them with Fabricated Anomaly, and especially when you're playing Dawnsworn Survivor, because they make the number of cards in your graveyard a lot more inconsistent and unreliable. So actually surfacing the Cicada becomes not so guaranteed. Stasis pointing out you also just bring in all removal against AO, so not too hard to sequence removal into Pyroclasm. But yeah, Coordinated Shot is sweet.
It super impressed me. Like, this deck often like transitions into a burn mode in the late game, and having the out of like late game draw Cicada, cast Cicada, flashback Coordinated Shot, maybe even copy it for 2 mana with progress.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of goodies here.
Okay. So I'll take the next one.
I covered 2 in a row, so it's your go. And then we're just back and forth from now on.
Cat and Tree is, to the surprise of no one, Cat and Tree is on an EO tokens list. This is Naya EO tokens. We have Kitsune Matriarch as, of course, the premier 1-drop of the tokens list, joined by our new premier 1-drop of the tokens decks, Proclaimer of Blooming Wing. This card has just been nasty, especially with EO. It's the source of a bunch of the really swift kills. It's really good with Kitsune Matriarch. And then the main reason we're in green is for EO is a great equalizer, turning all of our 1/1s into 3/3s. And then there are 12. The last 1-drop is Sparks of Revolution. Also pretty easy to flip with all the stuff going on here. Actually, is it? Actually, kind of hard to deal 3 damage. EO is kind of the only easy way of doing that. There are 12 Raise the Alarms in this deck, for each Ruins Awaken, Ragtag Squad, and Advance the Sainted March. And then there are 6 Anthems between 4 Edgeland Pledge and Cassus Belly, both of which can also serve as removal, and Edgeland Pledge can also make tokens. No Graukus, interestingly. Yeah, instead we have 4 times Honesty. So when Applejack is here, all of your Raise the Alarms come with an additional at least 3 +1/+1 counters, and also on all of your other creatures too. So they each make a 3/3 and a 2/2. Oh yeah, Stasis pointing out that Matriarch triggers Sparks easily because it gets to 3/3 all the time. That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a straightforwardly cards that benefit from the 1-drops that make tokens, the 2-drops that make 2 tokens, and then just all of the anthems. 4 of Honesty is pulling this deck in a slightly slower direction, maybe playing more around.
I will actually contend that is not true, and the reason why is because I think, and I'm just going to throw this out here, because I've done some playtesting with Honesty in my devotee shells, and started to really, really like it. I think that first clause looks really great here where you have the 12 Raise the Alarms, and that's not the primary reason to run Honesty. Because if you're only running it for doing things with other spells you play after it, I think you're probably losing the game. But where I think it shines is that attack trigger, especially if you have something like EO. You attack with EO and 2 other creatures, or you play EO with Honesty and 3 creatures in play. Not only do you get a counter on EO with Honesty, which this is a parity breaker with EO, which is really nice, where your creatures get to outscale your opponent's creatures. It is also something where, you swing 3 creatures with EO, that's total power 8 or more, tap 3 opposing blockers, and then any hope your opponent had of holding down the board is just gone. Much in the same way that I say, Kirin of Boons is just so strong when you have +1/+1 counter synergies, because shutting off blockers can be really good in creature matchups where people are trying to stall the board. This does that. This does 4-token decks what Kirin of Boons does for counter stompy decks, and what I think Unspeaking Titan does for Golem decks. Where your creatures being able to block, they just don't have that text anymore. They effectively have decayed. in terms of what
Cat
the
Cat and
relevance is on
Tree
defense.
Cat and Tree like saying in chat that the chat mode is like the big get here. I think that absolutely tracks. One of the things I think hurts EO this month is the existence of Husk Forger, just as a random 1/1 that's going to be in half the decks in the field that can block your EO. Or block one of your token cards. Um, yeah. When I said that Honesty has slowed down the deck a little, what I more meant by that is like Honesty is a card that does not really contribute to like turn 4 goldfish kills because it does not have power and toughness of its own.
Yeah.
In the same way that kind of Grauku does.
Yeah, that's super fair. I think the thing that Honesty does for enabling more reliable kills is through acknowledging that you're not always going to be able to do those goldfish kills while your opponent has nothing in play. And Honesty solves that problem. It effectively leaves them with nothing in play in terms of their ability to stem the tide.
Honestly, like it also like I love that the different angle for this deck. It's a very important. You have to deal with it enchantment, which this deck otherwise doesn't have. And I love splitting up the threats in a deck like this, which is so vulnerable to a specific form of hate. In this case, being Deafening Clarion.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, as we talk about a card like, and I'll scroll up here just to talk about Culling Ritual, being so good at picking off a bunch of tokens, it's really nice to see more engines like Honesty showing up where, much like EO, what in the world is destroy permanents with mana value 2 or less gonna do to a 3-drop?
Yeah. Sideboard lands are normal. I'm gonna maybe stop talking about mono bases if they don't have like non-fixing lands in them. This is just like all untapped lands, the mono base as you expect.
Mm-hmm.
Sideboard has 4 shocks, makes sense. 4 Realm Lift Implosion.
I love this.
Yep, I completely see this, especially with stuff like Path of Scales potentially being a huge annoying problem for this deck.
Yeah.
3 of Divinity is very cool.
I've wanted to try and figure out how to make this card work, so I hope it gets to get some value here.
It's very good with Proclaimer.
Yeah. Not.
I don't.
Oh yeah, good with Proclaimer on the first ability. Sorry. I will say the second ability for if 2 or more creatures you control died this turn, very awkward with Decoy. Because it exiles
I don't
instead
see
of
how this deck
sacrificing.
gets that.
Yeah,
I don't see how this deck gets that second ability very often. In general, I guess you have to rely on them blocking your creatures.
Yeah, I think Divinity is in most cases just gonna be an impact tremors that pads your life total.
Yeah, that's the main reason it's here. And sideboard and graveyard hate of choice is Crucible of the Burning Sun.
Yeah, I will note more of what Cat and Tree is saying here. Cat and Tree says Grauku is fake. I don't think it does anything for the deck.
Wow.
And also says
slander. This guy got you to finals, Cat and Tree.
Yeah, I'll pull it up for chat. Screeching Grauku, 2 mana 2/1 with flying. Creatures control with base power 1 or less get +1/+0. So effectively a solidarity token for everything in your deck besides EO, with the caveat that if you have EO in play, it affects 0 creatures, and I think that is the big killer for Grauku.
For some reason, I thought Grauku was in the GP Zakros, Cat and Tree's GP Zakros. It wasn't. I'm sorry, Cat and Tree. You never loved this card.
Yeah. Also says that Divinity is meant as an anti-aggro tool, so the life gain is actually pretty important there as well.
Okay, interesting.
Also, one final note in something that Cat and Tree mentions, which is that Honesty allows you to grind and helps the deck flounder for a long time. And that is something that I think I'm really interested to see, because one of the things that surprised me about the deck in July was just how much grind potential the deck had, where it's like even in like turns 5, 6, 7, 8, as the game goes on, you know, the deck is not out of gas. It like any token draw can suddenly like help the deck just start piling in pressure and make the board start looking scary. It really just takes like one or two good draws for the deck to pull back in from the board getting away from it. And especially when you
Oh
get something
yeah.
like Honesty that allows it to keep up the grind potential. Especially when we have functionally 8 copies of Sparks of Revolution in terms of that backside, where you can have one of your sparks flip into Freedom, and you have 4 copies of Advance of the Sainted March, which, yeah, it takes a little bit of damage to invest into it, but a lot less if you're dealing 1 damage with a Proclaimer and then shooting it with Edgeland Pledge for 2, or you have an EO and you send 1 creature to advance to clear it. And then you get more 1/1s every turn tapped and attacking whenever you attack. That's just sends the board in a spiral so fast.
Pointed a lot for a lot of 1/1 removal, a lot of 1-for-1 removal at 1/1 tokens facing against this deck. And I was still like, even with like Cat and Tree's awkward draw, was still like a couple good draws of getting back into it. Also, yes, this like token based creature based aggro deck is very vulnerable to duress, which is funny.
Oh yeah.
As I guess you also saw during that finals that duress was like the MVP against this deck.
Oh yeah. I remember. Alrighty. Let's move on to Crush Castles, The Illusion of a Sunny Day. What?
Oh, it's this thing.
Oh, it's sunny.
This
it's
is
Sunny
Decoy.
Day Trickery. Oh my gosh, it's Blue Red Decoy. All right. So we are on Gossamer Dreamer, a card I thought could be kind of cool. And you know, it sure is showing up here. Ambassador of Unseen Edges, despite its nerf. Ardor, Forefront of Freedom. Fluttering Sun, which I think is pretty spicy, include full 4 Fluttering Suns. And then 4 copies of Silken Tactician. If a fairy or illusion source you control would deal damage to a partner player, deals that much +1 instead. Okay. I see kind of what's cooking here. Doctrine of Cleansing Flames notably doesn't make fairies or illusions. Interesting. Coordinated
Shot.
None
of them make fairies or illusions.
What was that?
To be fair, none of the token make fairies or illusions. Oh, Ragtag.
Yeah.
Could have been Ragtag, I guess.
Yeah, it could have been Ragtag. Although I guess the exile target artifact maybe has some edge over Ragtag Squad. Though I think the haste and trample might just be the winner there. Because like you have Fluttering Sun in play, you Ragtag Squad, make 2 hasty illusion tokens. That's not too shabby.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a fairy that you can give a trampling fairy that you can give hexproof to. And then 3 coordinated shots, 2 flags on high, 4 Sunny Day, and 4 Trickery. Weather's only in the main board, not in the sideboard, although there's a Weather's Matter card I see in the sideboard here as well. Yeah, Sunny Day is really good with Decoy. Because it just cares about the number of attacking creatures when it resolves. So you attack with a bunch of Decoy creatures, Sunny Day triggers, and you let the Decoy abilities all resolve first. Fluttering Sun doubles up all of those decoys, and then you just nuke the opponent with Sunny Day. That's a lot of damage out of nowhere, and Trickery gives you some more spiral potential because you can just copy up your attacking creatures to get permanent versions that stick around. Although they don't come in tapped and attacking, so you can't use this to like copy. It's also a little awkward because you can't really get value out of it copying a legendary. So Ardor and Fluttering Sun aren't great to copy with Trickery, but
they're also not illusions for Fluttering Sun and Silken Tactician.
Yeah, I mean, none of these are illusions in terms of Trickery, because Trickery doesn't set them to be illusions either. But Silken Tactician, Silken Tactician at least appreciates that Fluttering Sun's a fairy. But I like using Trickery to copy like a Gossamer Dreamer, Ambassador of Unseen Edges, or Silken Tactician seems pretty good. And I will acknowledge that turn 2 Gossamer Dreamer, turn 3 Ambassador of Unseen Edges. It's not the most stellar curve, but it does kind of push a lot of damage.
Turn 4 attack for 4, I guess.
We'll see if it does something. Pretty standard mana base, but taking advantage of the lack of 1-drops to get 4 Gilded Courts in here. And then playing no Shocklands.
Misty Peak.
No Misty Peak.
Fresh as a mystery.
Crush makes some spicy plays. Sideboard is suite of 3-ofs. We've got Thistral Charm as a 3-of. Copy up your Silken Tactician decoy token. And then you get 2 of them from Fluttering Sun. 3 of Unravel Thoughts. 3 Worm Shot. 3 Boiling Storm, which is gets to be a little better with Sunny Day in play, although not too much, because deal 2 to each creature still kills all your decoys when they get +2/+1. And then 3 Faces of the Faceless, just to say fuck you to Survivors decks.
They deserve it. This, yeah, I've seen. I don't know if it's Crush or someone else trying to get decoy to work. I've not been impressed by it yet, but like Silken Tactician is a card I've never read before. This actually seems like it's like Old Ambassador, except it costs 4 and is a 2/3.
Yeah, it's Old Ambassador if Old Ambassador was slow.
Yeah, Old Ambassador if it was a 2/3 and didn't work with non-fairies and illusions and cost 1 more mana. But still, like, being a +2/+0 buff to your whole team is still not bad. Well, hi, Rockman TCG. This is a Magic of the Gathering format called Revolution Custom Standard. Yes, it's an all custom card format. You should. Well, okay, we're going over the deck list for this month's tournament. Okay, Zengi and Stathis will explain.
Yeah.
Clear.
Yeah, we've got a lot of decks still to cover, so we're gonna focus on talking about the decks for this tournament. But welcome to the stream, Rocket Man. I'll let Zangi and Stasis handle any questions you might have. But if you've got any questions about the decks, we can try to do what we can to talk about those as we get to them. We just got a long stream ahead of us.
Sure does have 12 4-drops.
Oh boy. This next deck, or the one we were on.
Crush's deck sure does have 12 4-drops.
Oh, it sure does. I think Crush. I say this with so much love. I feel like Crush builds decks based on vibes, and I respect the hell out of that. Rockman, can I see a list of all cards? That is something I can actually help you with. If you check out the description of the stream, there are links to a bunch of handy resources. If that went through, Zang, I don't think it went through, but the description's got you covered. There is a link to the Revolution Compendium, which is a compiled list of cards recommended for the format, which should be up to date. Even if it's not, which I'm going to go on a whim and say it is. There's Escape from Limbo and also the LackeyBot search engine. Both are kind of like Scryfall for official Magic. You can kind of search through and look at all of the cards from the format. Escape from Limbo also has, and I can actually just pull it up now because I have it open on a tab. Escape from Limbo gives you a bunch of galleries to look at each individual set in the format, so you can kind of look through all of the cards in the format. It's going to be kind of cropped awkwardly on stream here, but you get to look through all of the sets in the format as you please, see which sets are currently in standard and which ones have rotated in the past. And if this catches your interest, PTM also points out, link in the video description. It's always in the description of every video, and I try to make sure it's always in the description of the streams. Links to this website, to the LackeyBot search as well, which I've got open on another tab here. Also a link to the GP deck lists, link to the compendium, and of course a link to the Custom Magic Discord server, where you can check out all of the set projects that are being made at the time, things that are in development at the moment, as well as the Revolution section where you can talk about this format and give it a try for yourself. So welcome again, Rocket Man. Excited to have you around, and maybe we'll see you in the Revolution chat sometime soon. Who designs these cards? The community does. They're all community design sets. There are some requirements to get a set submitted into the format. You have to be an active player of the format for a while to be able to submit sets, and then set submissions are handled 6 weeks ahead of each rotation. There's a lot more information there. Is it a certain community or different groups making sets? Usually a lot of sets are designed by 1 or 2 people at a time, and then they're submitted in advance of the different rotation windows to kind of brace you for like getting voted in on by the curators who manage the format. I'm going to leave all future questions on this to PTM and Zangi. They're both curators of the format, have done a lot of work to get the format to where it is, so they will have more insight into that than I will. So with that, let's get back to the deck list stream. I believe you're up next, Chip, with Volt
Or
Switch's
Volt
deck.
Switch. Yes, I love that. By the way, I love that it's just called Escape from Limbo now. I love that name. We're just sticking with that name.
I love it.
Of Riesling. So we 1/1 horror. Can draw a card from the graveyard and wants us to make cards leave our graveyard once each turn, such as with the other 1-drop Scuttling Cicada. So this is a graveyard kind of mid-range control deck. 4 of Catabolist, more payoffs for making cards leave our graveyard, and 2 of Fortune Bearer. 2 mana 0/4 tapped for mana, but can't use this cast spell from your hand unless you sacrifice it, and services for 7 mana to become a 6/4, a 6/5 that what does it do? It bounces cards, instants, and sorceries, and graveyards and creatures, and can cast copies of them. I have never seen this card, but it seems like a reasonable way to spend 7 mana. And
Pays
then
for
4
the
Angler of the
flashback
Crushing Sea.
costs. There's not many, but it pays for flashback costs.
Yeah, it pays for Catabolist, getting back Catabolist, and
Yeah.
exiling Riesling as well.
That's true.
Angler of the Crushing Sea, last creature. This is our new Tolarian Terror. Not as broken as it used to be before the nerf, but it's still a very good Tolarian Terror. Trading off Ward 2 for the ability to chant it early to mill yourself for 3. And then we have the usual blue-black kind of instant sorcery angler control stuff. 4 of Discern as our card draw. Erase from Existence as a bounce spell that can turn into a top or bottom spell later in the game. Overrule Sought. And it ties the room together, mill stuff for Erase from Existence and Angler the Crushing Sea and Catabolist and Riesling, while being a very reasonable card. Chromatic Recollection as the removal spell of choice. Also mills us, although it only kills creatures. And then Failed Gateway. Main deck Failed Gateway, which is being corrupted by exactly Angler of the Crushing Sea.
If it works, it works.
It seems like you really want to corrupt that because it kills a lot of your creatures otherwise.
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
Yeah, I'm just like count of things that enable Catabolist. Riesling, Cicada, I guess Flashing with Fortune Bearer was kind of expensive. Flashback Discern. Okay, there's a decent number of things. I have liked Catabolist, so I've liked it mostly in green-black, where you have stuff like Reaper of Blossoms and the black-green creature land that can enable it. This mono base has 1 Lost and Found, but otherwise it's just the fixing lands.
There's also Chasm.
0. Oh yeah, sorry. Right, 4 Chasm, 1 Lost and Found. Right. No Enigmatic Fen. Chasm and Silent Coffin, I think, like just on rate, I think it's the best of the cycle.
I'm inclined to agree. I really like Chasm.
I don't think like blue black is the best deck to want a creature land. But I think this one is just like the most efficient on numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I said as much, I think, during the set review, where I just said, if there's one lesson I learned from Theros Age of Tracks, it's that 4-power land creature with vigilance, very strong. Do not sleep on that. Especially when they get to be in blue.
It's like it's an interesting kind of like somewhat controlling deck. Like there's a lot of answers in here, but it also has kind of this graveyard package as its threats.
Yeah.
Sideboard has the other 2 Fortune Bearers, 4 Final Fate as more removal, the last Failed Gateway, Go Blank as our graveyard hate of choice, and 4 of Trauma Spike. First time seeing Trauma Spike today.
Hell yeah.
I know. I'm always super low on these types of effects, but I think this is a very good version of this effect, and I'm not sure I've seen a deck yet that I'd side in against, but it's always a good thing to have around.
Yeah. Alrighty. Next up, we
have the man of the hour.
The man of the hour, Zangi, the set designer for the new set Exalted Twiltry. And I'm just gonna kind of scroll through here real quick to see just how many cards. Wait a minute, are the decrees are all on already? Because I was only seeing
only the first 10.
only the first 10. I was only seeing Reaper, so I thought none of the rest were on. At least when I was working on my deck, because I didn't see Terminal Impact. I was pretty sure that was one of the first one claimed.
No, Terminal hasn't been. Has Terminal claimed? Oh, hey, that's a good point.
Terminal
Let me
was
check.
claimed like day one, and it wasn't on Cockatrice. So I think I say as much in the deck tech that I recorded, that I was on the Reaper promo, and I was under the impression that it was the only promo that was on there, and it was because it got changed.
No, they were meant to unlock all of them, like all the ones that were unlocked. I think they just missed Terminal because Choir Ascendant's there, Lunate Charm is there, Honesty is there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we got Discern,
Charm,
Plasma
Divinity.
Strike.
Yeah, Plasma Strike. Oh, I love it.
So we've got a
like
white,
Terminal just
mostly white blue,
in.
but with a bit of green in here as well. We've got a Bant Battle Control flash deck.
Looks like Zangy.
Looks like Zangy. If there's one thing Zangy is known for, it's ninjas, and if there's one other thing Zangy is known for, it is Drago control. Terminal had to have a change to the text. Oh, I see. All right, then. But yeah, so for Faithline Marshal, I'm so thrilled to see this year. I love this card. Finding a home for it has been a headache for me. So seeing that Zangy has figured out where to put it is great. Same with Frog of Eternal Gloom. I love both of these creatures. So for Faithline Marshal, 2 Frog of Eternal Gloom, 2 copies of Sylvia the Rewoven Oath, also a card I'm a big fan of. Just really, really strong Planeswalker. Takes a lot of mana to get to, but by the time you're getting to it, it's just going to get to do a lot of work. 4 of Discern, 2 Plasma Strike, 4 Ensorcel, so no permanents, 4 Death Deflection, 2 Ayeshi Breaks the Loop, very, very effective at picking off especially token decks, or just decks with really low curves, 2 Unravel Thoughts, and then 4 each of Clash at Mistrit Vale and Clash at Orith Cross. We've also got 26 lands here, with a full 12 shock lands, 4 Primal Fissure, 2 of each basic, and 2 of each blue path. So really wanting to get that blue mana out early, which makes sense. You know, Frog of Eternal Gloom really is the most demanding card on your mana base, and your only turn 1 plays are Discern and Plasma Strike, and Plasma Strike's not often going to be a turn 1 play, so you know, just getting to turn 1 Discern off of a path is pretty important.
Zero Rebora Goliath.
Yeah, 0 Rebora Goliaths, in spite of so many things with Flash and so many instants. Just Rebora Goliath, get that pulled up for stream, just not quite where it was, I guess. You know, who needs Goliath to end the game when Sylvia just does it for you?
I guess Sylvia's your finisher instead.
Yeah.
Like,
so are
mid-range.
Frog and Faithline Marshal. Like, these do just kill people.
Thank you. You could get to type the word fish. I know you love doing that.
Sideboard is a 3rd Plasma Strike, 3 Swift Reproach, 4 Negate, 3 Pest Problem. Whoa, a sorcery speed spell in the 75 outside that isn't a battle.
You could have played Thunderous Avalanche.
Yeah, you could have played Thunderous Avalanche with your 6 creatures. Thunderous Avalanche would have been really awkward, I think.
Yes.
Also, Pest Problem really one-sided here. There is nothing in this deck that gets hit by Pest Problem other than Crucible of the Burning Sun. And I don't imagine you board them in together in most cases. Discerns also let you trigger Faithline Marshal's second ability really easily too. Yeah, that's super fair as well. Getting to go like turn like 4 mana, Faithline Marshal, Discern from hand, make an Everywhere token. And then untap turn 5 with 6 mana potentially for a Sylvia just seems so good. Big fan of that. So yeah, pretty sweet deck. We got a goodie one next here. You gonna take it?
Yep, this is Kumrock's Golgari. Kumrock has been grinding the heck out of League. Kumar has like 11 league runs or something, first in the standings right now, and has mostly been just refining this Golgari mid-range deck. This is a 4 of Huskforger Acolyte deck. It's also 4 of Rooftop Slink as a kind of threat that rapidly shrinks the game and can become a must-answer threat later. Of course, 4 Exorcist, 4 Reaper of Blossoms even after the nerf. 4 Program Resumer. I mentioned that I thought this was the 3-drop you want to ramp into in Golgari from Huskforger, and Kumrek's the one who put me on that. The fifth 3-drop, just for curve reasons, is Vardo Ravalon, which is like Program Pursuer but worse. Then we have split 4-drops, 3 Inner People and 3 Life Hacker. For removal, there's 2 Sovereign's Execution, 2 Revivified Wrath, and 2 Chronicles Extinction, so a very light touch on the removal, and split between Sovereigns at instant speed and Revivified to be able to hit any permanent. 2 main deck Duress, love main deck Duress in this format, and 1 of Gelsis. That's a spicy thing, but it makes sense in this almost entirely sorcery speed deck that just wants to shred the opponent's resources as fast as possible. Very interesting to see that the 3 and 3 split Inner Rings and Life Hacker. No strong preference of which 4-drop to play.
I think these are both pretty
And
reasonable, and I think Acolyte just gets to do so much here, beyond just ramping out your cards, thanks to having mana outlets in your creature base like Rooftop Slink and Life Hacker. Like that's a really nice secondary mode for Huskforger Acolyte as well.
Yep, Kumrak keeping this alive and well without bias.
Mm-hmm.
And including in the mono base what I think of as like what the card I associate most strongly with Kumrak's versions of this deck, which is the green-black Heap Ludicon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pursuer also. I always think of it just itself, but it also triggers off of other artifact creatures, such as Gelsis and Flipped Rooftop Slink.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is like
and also relevant.
What I think of is like just
you can tap Gelthis to pay the Cybersoul cost. Not always
sure
where you want to be, but if you've got to do it, if you can't animate Gelthis, you might as well.
Yeah. This is what I think with like the stock green blacklist. Like this is not really any graveyard synergy, not really any vigor synergy. This is just green black, all the best cards.
Yeah, I think it
including
looks
no
strong. On top of the Heap Ludicons, there's also 2 Gallowsprout Timbers here.
Yeah, that card has been solid.
Yeah.
Cyborg has 3 Hungry Blob for artifacts and enchantments, 3 Downlink Overload for small creatures, the other 2 Duress. Love Duress so much in this meta. The other 2 Chronicle Extinction for all-purpose problem solving, 2 Culling Ritual. Once again, hits a lot of your stuff, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do against tokens. And 3 Crucible of the Burning Sun as the anti graveyard card of choice.
Yeah. I will say the full 4 Chronicle across the 75 also good for tilt equity against me.
Oh yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. Chronicle's just not even felt that good.
Yeah, I
had it in my version.
It has started to wane in terms of its potency, but it'll always still have good tilt equity. It will
tilt equity very big against certain players.
Oh, for sure. That being said, I got to shout out Volt Switch on the 4 Go Blank. Because if you want to get me tilted about making me discard 2 cards and exile my graveyard, that is even more efficient.
Yeah. Would you describe yourself as more tilted by Go Blank or Data Wipe?
Go Blank, because I think if you're gonna play it, you might as well play the one with the name that's unique to our format. Don't play the one that's just a standard reprint.
You should optimally you should be on 2 of each, I guess, for like automastic reasons. But
yeah. Also, I think if you're on automastic naming Go Blank or Data Wipe, I think you're probably naming the wrong thing. But
I also agree. But
I was about to say a thing that would be pretty close to the next deck name. Because Silver is making me suffer. All right.
Well, that's its deck.
Silver is a big fan of a strategy we, as the format, have come to refer to pretty inappropriately. I'm gonna pull
As the
up
lightning deck. The
as the
lightning's
lightning
deck.
deck.
Everyone called it that.
Scryfall. I'm just gonna pull up Scryfall in place of Lackybot. Sorry, Lackybot. I'm just gonna pull up a cannon card for the sake of contextualizing. Ball Lightning is a 6/1 for red, red, red with trample haste, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice this creature. So it is typically going to be 3 mana for 6 damage. We have had a number of creatures in that vein in the format's history, such as Expendable Arsonist, Prideful Reaper, Vukarok Defector, though Reaper doesn't have haste, but also doesn't have to be the thing you sacrifice, and most recently, Bloodhorn Ravager in the new set. One other thing that's pretty notable here is that almost none of them have 6 power. Prideful Reaper does, but again, it doesn't have haste. And they often do more interesting things than just trample haste dies at end of turn. Expendable Arsonist is a 4/4 for 2 with trample and haste, and it dies after it attacks with Decayed. So you can actually just stick it in play and only swing with it when you know that you can get some value out of it being turned sideways. Bloodhorn Ravager not only comes with lifelink in addition, for only a 4-power creature, but also has the new Rapture ability. So when it dies, it comes back with a haze counter that causes it to lose all of its abilities, which unfortunately means no more trample, haste, or lifelink, and no more Rapture. And also it will no longer be able to block, but it also loses the clause, forcing you to sacrifice it at end of turn. There's also Prideful Reaper, which again does not have haste or trample, but has menace and makes it so when your creatures hit player, you have to sacrifice one of them. So you can just sacrifice the things that are already being forced to sacrifice this turn and let Reaper just be a 3-mana 6/6 that hits them every turn. And then finally, Vukarok Defector, which is a 5/4 for 3 with trample and haste, and the Solidarity ability. So if you have 6 or more creature types attacking, you get a Solidarity enchantment token. And you have to sacrifice Vukarok Defector unless you sacrifice a token named Solidarity, which will often not be something you have in play, but like all of your creatures have unique types. None of them share types with each other. So if you have like Bloodhorn Ravager, which is a Minotaur Berserker, Anon Thief of Sun, which is a Demigod Cleric, and then like Vukarok Defector, Expendable Arsonist, Minion, and then Vukarok, which is a unique type to the format. Like that's 6 unique types. That gets you a Solidarity token, so your creatures all get +1 power, and then you can sacrifice that to keep the Defector around.
I think in that case they might just be dead on that attack, though. So
Oh,
I don't
for
know
sure.
If you
I think that is often what's going to be the case. But also for Calamity Cat here to buff up the power of your creatures, to discard things because there's another component to this deck. And also lets you swing with Prideful Reaper immediately, which is nice, as well as swing with Anon Thief of the Sun, which is the other new card in the creature suite here. 3 mana 3/2 with Ward, sacrifice a non-land permanent, and Rapture, so that same ability as seen on Bloodhorn Ravager. And whenever it attacks, your other attacking creatures without haze counters on them gain Rapture until end of turn. So it lets your Vukarok Defectors, Prideful Reapers, Expendable Arsonists all come back after they die this turn, which can be pretty sweet.
Super sweet synergy there.
Instants include 4 Shocks and 3 Burn to Obscurity. As I talked a little bit earlier about how much I love Burn to Obscurity, so it's cool to see it here. Stasis says 2 people on my shit list because there are only 2 people on Chronicle of Extinction, as Zangy pointed out. But the other component of this deck is the Unearth effects. So we've got 11 here. 3 copies of Stained Strokes, which returns a creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to play with an Exalted counter. So when you attack with a creature by itself, it gets +1/+1 for each instance of Exalted on your board. 4 copies of Too Late for Graze, which returns a creature with mana value 3 or less to play with a +1/+1 counter on it. So much like Calamity Cat can cause your trampling, hasty, fleeting creatures to hit harder. And 4 copies of Thorn and Trial, which not only brings back something with mana value 3 or less, but also has some interesting clauses here. When knocked down to 3 defense or lower, it makes your opponent's spells cost 2 more to cast on your turn. And if you can deal 5 damage to it, it gives you a 4/4 Angel with Flying. Oh, there are 3 decks that are on my shit list because because of this particular deck. Yeah. I'm dancing around the deck name because YouTube is YouTube. You can probably guess what people call it based on the word I might have just highlighted. And we're going to move on from that. 22 lands, pretty stock mana base here. 3 fishers, 4 basics, but we've got 12 shocks and then 1 of each path. And then sideboard includes 3 duress, 2 bind life to steal, which I really like with all of these fleeting creatures. Especially since all of them are so low mana value. 1 mana for each 1 mana you pay into X gets back an expendable arsonist. Each 2 mana you bring back gets one of your other creatures. And then like if you pay 3 into bind life to steal as X, that gets back 2 of your 3 drops. So this can be just really mana efficient to pull a bunch of stuff out later on in grindier matchups. Full 4 Deafening Clarion, which I think just makes sense right now. 3 Golden Bloom of the Silenced, just shut down single troublesome permanent. And then 3 Clash at the Shaded Maw. Exile each player's graveyard. Sometimes you just want graveyard hate.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that like because of the change to class, there is now no asymmetric graveyard hate in the format. So if you're like a deck such as Silver's that has like cares a lot about its own graveyard because of all of the unearths, you don't really have a great graveyard hate option.
Yeah, it's a little awkward, but I think if you've just got to pull this in, you'll be willing to live with it. And in a lot of cases, you have control over when this gets knocked down to 2 defense. So while it does nuke your graveyard on enter, you do still have control over getting some things into your graveyard afterwards before you take away the 2 defense. And then even once you do so, it doesn't get rid of the things that are already in your graveyard, so you can still get some value out of this. It just requires you to maneuver a little bit.
Yeah. Golden Bloom is here, I believe, as anti graveyard hate, because it can name your opponent's Clash of the Shaded Maw or their graveyard hate artifact.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Alrighty. Up next,
love Anon to strip the negatives off of your lightnings. It's a very cool interaction.
Oh yeah, I love Anon with this deck specifically. I think Anon overall, I'm not a super enthusiastic fan of this card, but in this particular strategy, because these are like the best things you can give Rapture, because they are just such massive bodies with such horrible drawbacks in terms of just only getting them for a turn, being able to take away the sacrifice clause on any of these is so good. To the point where I almost wonder if you want to play the like 1 mana combat trick that grants a creature Rapture, just to have some more consistency with getting these back. It's why I think Bloodhorn Ravager is one of the best Rapture creatures, because it is just such a relevant body to get back with Rapture.
Yep. Hey, Tomas is on something spicy.
We haven't seen the last of Stratustorm.
No, this is a Stratostorm deck. We got 4 of Stratostorm and also down in the sorceries, 4 of Dark Horse Victory. These can both effectively reanimate a permanent with an activated ability. Dark Horse literally putting it into play. Stratostorm just gaining the abilities of the cards in your graveyard. And the big things we're trying to do with that are 2 of Illustrious Shengfa and 4 of Sylvia the Rewoven Oath. Kind of playing the part that Arbiter used to play, untapping your permanents, making big creatures. Sylvia, this deck, the mono base is almost entirely Jeskai, but there are 3 Jubilant Docks that could potentially name green to allow you to potentially cast a Sylvia, but it's mainly here to be reanimated with these 8 kind of reanimation spells. In order to get these cards into a graveyard, we have a lot of discard outlets, including 3 Demographer, 1 mana O2 that will loot on enter and can loot again if you pledge, loot again for 2 mana. Almost certainly pledging Tyrell in this deck for the Surveils on discarding non-land cards. 3 Aldegar as another somewhat slower looter. This is anomaly for people who aren't playing too many creatures. 3 mana, 3 loyalty. Usually will immediately come down and deal 3 damage to something and then sit and play as a repeated looter. It can just start looting over and over again if there's nothing good to shoot. Shigana Manor Burns, excellent all-around card, good for ramping into your 4 and 5 mana reanimation spells. And also uh, makes allows you to discard your cards and dig deeper. Malfunctioning Portal. I think I see what the plan is here. I believe if you have Stratostorm in play, Sylvia in graveyard, Malfunctioning Portal in play, you pay 2 mana, you exile Stratostorm, you have almost no creatures, so you unless you hit a Demography, it always comes back. Then you use the +2 off of Sylvia with Stratostorm to untap Portal, 2 lands. That lets you activate Portal again. And as long as you don't hit a Demographer, you gain 3 life per loop. Um, that is a super sweet kind of end game win condition. And there's a little interaction. Path's End is a destroys all permanents without activated abilities, which should it does work with it does not kill your Stratastorms. Which should hopefully clean up a lot of the tokens things. Sunwrath Charm has more discard that can also be removal. Overrule Sought and Unravel Soughts as counter spells of Overrule Sought also filling your graveyard. Uh, only 22 lands in this deck that really wants to cast a 4 and 5 drop. So and 4 Glimmervale Lake, which can copy Stratostorm. I guess to allow you to do that even more somehow. Wow, that's wild.
You can Stratostorm +2 for the Sylvia ability, untap the mana to Glimmervale Lake, and then have Glimmervale Lake activate, and then +2 again to untap more mana, and effectively have multiple
Ooh, that is
Stratostorms in
spicy.
play.
Yeah, I have to go to 4. Oh, Liz for pointing out that you don't even need the portal on the battlefield because if portal's in your graveyard, Stratostorm will have portal's abilities, but it won't have haste though, so it can't use the tap ability because the tap ability.
Well, what you can do is if it doesn't have summoning sickness, you could do portal targeting Demographer. You oh no, that is a little awkward. Just because like you would need 2 Stratastorms in play.
Yeah, because
Because you need to have
the
a
other
new
one, yeah.
Stratastorm enter to be able to use the Sylvia ability again. So that is a little awkward in that regard. But I do think the malfunctioning portal loop to just gain infinite life, so long as your top card's not a Demographer or a Stratastorm, is pretty good. Actually, even if it's a Stratastorm, you still get to do it. So the Demographer is really the only risk that you have. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
you gain 3 life per card until you hit Demographer.
Yeah. Well, not even until you hit Demographer, because keep in mind, it's you reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature, put it into play. Otherwise, you return the exiled card to the battlefield under its owner's control, and you don't move the top card of your deck anywhere. So it only matters the first time you activate Malfunctioning Portal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
For some reason, I always thought it exiled that card. Oh, so if the top card deck is not Demographer, it does gain infinite life.
Yeah, you gain infinite life
Very
on
cool.
the
I
spot.
love gaining infinite life.
You gain infinite life on the spot, and then can finish with either Shengfa +1 make a 3/1, Aldegar +1 discard a card draw a card, or Sylvia +2 untap 3 lands gain another 3 of your infinite life. One other thing that I'll note is you pointed out Jubilant Docks does have the potential to give the deck some green mana. So does Shigane Mana Burns.
Oh, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
This wasn't intentional, but I love that the promo is Shigane Manor Burns and its time loop ends the first of the 3 GPs that I won was Shigane Manor.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think this means you might have closed the loop, but we'll see how this month goes.
No, unsure. I win all the GPs from now on.
Yeah, it's just it's
sideboard. We are
worried.
Sideboard. We were about removals. We got 3 melons and 2 flutters to protect our creatures from removal. Flutter can also be graveyard hate. 4 Merrilies. Kind of more looting, and also some answers to big artifacts. Crux also answers artifacts. I guess Merrily and Crux are both answers to graveyard hate artifacts, which this deck really does not want to see, and are all over the place. 2 Perils of Eternity, which can, I guess, annoy a lot of like combo decks. Oh wait, Perils of Eternity turns off Survivor. Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
That's so cool. It also fetches Illustrious Shengfa. Oh, I love Perilous Journey as tech against Survivor decks. That's so cool. And 3 Advance of Fire and Faith, as usual.
Yeah.
This deck is sweet. Oh, it's so sweet.
Yeah, this is oh, I of course I finally run back the looters deck, and what do I see in the field but Stratustorm riding again. I do think the
That would
Stratustorm
knock
deck
you out last
was
time?
hmm?
That would knock you out last time?
No,
No, wait, you won the GP.
I
Nothing locked you out.
yeah, I won the GP. But that was the matchup that I was most afraid of in the Swiss rounds, and I ran into it in round 4, and I narrowly fought through it, but it was because I had archival storage in my deck, and that is no longer in my deck. So we'll see if I can get through that matchup if I run into it without the graveyard hate.
Mhm. I said Perilous Journey fetches Planeswalkers. I was thinking of the other one, Imperial Tour.
Yeah, Imperial
This is
Tour
the other
finds
one. This
any
is the one that
white legendary permanent.
this is the one that just hates on Survivor.
Yeah. Also, Stasis pointing out, Advanced Granting Haste is weirdly relevant to the combo, which, yeah, lets you play Stratustorm and immediately, like, it lets you do the Stratustorm loop with Malfunctioning Portal in the graveyard. That's pretty
Very
cool.
funny. I guess you can get there by Aldegaring it.
Yeah. Yeah, Aldegar, does get the job done. I think the biggest bit of weeping here for me is that the only Sunbreath Charm reanimation target is Demographer. And I understand why, but it does still make me sad.
Yeah, I mean, Sunrise Charm's not bad, even if you just only use 2 of the modes.
Yeah. It still is pretty solid flexible spell.
Indeed.
Alrighty. Blue-red looter or something. H-Squid on a different kind of blue-red looter list. We're not even on Survivor. My goodness.
This is Savvy Smith.
Yeah, well, this is blue-red flashback. We've got 2 Cryo Phoenix, we've got Brass Oracle, we've got Savvy Smith. This is very different kind of blue-red looters deck. So Savvy Smith, Brass Oracle, Blistering Cryo Phoenix, they all care a lot more about instants and sorceries than draw discard per se. And then we've got a lot of good instants and sorceries here. We've got 2 copies of Discern, 4 copies of Erase from Existence, 2 Thistral Charm, 4 High Voltage, and 3 Get Your Wish for the instance here. I think... Oh, there is a way for Get Your Wish to count up to 3. We'll get to it at the end of the spells base here.
Yep.
But so Savvy Smith, Brass Oracle, only red. Blistering Cryo Phoenix, blue and red for Get Your Wish, which counts up the number of colors among permanents you control. Sorceries are 2 Firebolt, 2 Industrialize, 3 Set Ablaze, 1 copy of Ripples of History, and 2 copies of Echoed Chant. For a bit more creatures in the deck and kind of hiding those creatures in the spell slot, so that way you get triggers off of all of these creatures in the creature slot. And then 4 copies of Clash at Mistrit Vale, which not only turns these 15 spells and their flashback modes into even more board presence, but also gets you a white permanent into play in the form of those soldier tokens for Get Your Wish. And if you can get that clause online, Get Your Wish casts any of your spells. And even without it, like, it goes and finds any non-creature, non-land, and then casts Savvy Smith from your hand, or 8 of your instants, casts any of your sorceries with just like blue and red in play. Get Your Wish also really good with Clash at Mistrit Vale, just on the basis of even if you have no white permanents in play. You have Clash in play, you cast Get Your Wish, the Clash will put a soldier token into play before Get Your Wish resolves. Oh, Get Your Wish is non-token. Stasis pointing out Get Your Wish is non-token.
Oh, right, Get Your Wish. It suffered for Golden Age sins.
It suffered for Cleek's sins.
Still 2 triggers on Clash.
Still 2 triggers on Clash. Still 2 triggers on Savvy Smith or Brass Oracle. And even if you're only able to cast a 1-drop off of it, even if you only have like Savvy Smith or Brass Oracle in play, it's not the worst thing in the world to just Get Your Wish for a Firebolt or Get Your Wish for Discern.
Mhm.
Stasis says for now. Oh, is Get Your Wish getting unnerved? Oh, that might be spooky. I don't think Stasis
I,
would
as
know
a
if it
person who
is,
has
but
access
I
to the
mean,
secret chats, I have no comment on this.
I don't think Stasis has a say over that per se, anyways. But it is worth noting, the next buff patch that is coming is going to be in November, and it is for Cliques of Nylon, which was the set that Get Your Wish got nerfed around. So we'll
Yep.
see. We'll see if that comes up because it
Stasis
is.
is allowed to buff cards from Fleets of Island, and also, if they want, Fabricated Anomaly.
Yeah, I don't think Anomaly needs it. Zangy says better not be, and Stasis says I have no clue. Yeah, I kind of figured, but still fun to think about. One Glimmervale Lake and one Lore Spire bluff. Kind of interesting here. And sideboard is the remaining two Blistering Cryo Phoenixes, two more Thistral Charms, three Unravel Thoughts, two more Ripples of History, three copies of Golden Bloom of the Silenced, and three copies of Advance of Fire and Faith. You're up next.
Yep. Doomsday, new player. Welcome to the format on Demir Cycle Tempo. And I see 4 of Wicked Manifestation. This is the 2-mana 1/1.
Yes.
Gets +1/+1 for each card with a cycling ability in your graveyard.
I love this thing so
Also,
much.
our creatures. Your favorite card is in this deck. We'll get to it. It's right at the end of the deck list.
Oh god.
Uh,
I saw.
uh, there is also in the creature as creature starts, we have Scuttling Cicada, which is a great thing to cycle away if we have we can find a way to do that. And 3 of Urban Explorer. Urban Explorer, a card I was so high on before release, but hasn't super performed. But we're seeing it here. It can get back Scuttling Cicadas and lands. And there's one more card later. Um, anyways, what cards with cycling abilities are we playing for Wicked Manifestation? Why there's 2 copies of Damn to Hell. Okay, there's only 6 swamps, but there's 2 copies of Damn to Hell, sure.
But we love the
Uh
cycling cards.
there's also 2 copies of Avatar's Whim with only 4 islands. But I guess like both of these we're kind of trading more on the cycling cards and graveyard part of it than the basic land type part of it. There's also 3 Ruiners hijacking, which I assume is mostly here just to target ourselves with the cycling trigger. Mill a bunch of cards, hope to hit a lot of cards cycling, and 4 of Laystone of Ruin. Um, that's certainly a great way to mill a bunch of cycling cards, and it has cycling itself. Um, unfortunately, can't mill yourself with the kicker mode on this. And 2 of the greatest card features of some time. Its power has been contained until now. The God Tree Chimes, legendary enchantment. Whenever you cycle a card, draw a card, and when you cycle it, you can copy a triggered ability you control, such as a triggered ability for another copy of the God Tree Chimes, or the enter trigger on Urban Explorer. Um, yeah, the God Tree Chimes. It's time. It's come.
It's time.
Um,
It's time. Certainly is going to be trying to come, but we'll see if it actually arrives.
be nice to the player. Anyways,
I know.
we have
I'm excited to see a lot of what this
we
deck
have a
is
bunch.
doing. I love Wicked Manifestation.
Yeah, we have a bunch of answers that are good with our self mill plan. Overrule Sought mills us for a decent amount, as does Traumatic Recollection, um, as does Walk Among the Dead. Overrule Sought, Counterspell, Traumatic Recollection, Rule Spell, Walk Among the Dead, just like a little card draw thing. There's also a package of 2 Imminent Disasters and 3 Avert Disasters,
Yeah,
which is very fun.
I'm a
I'm
big
not
fan of
sure.
Avert
I'm gonna be
Disaster as
honest. I'm not
well.
sure. I'm hugely sold on Imminent Disaster.
Yeah, I think it's a little suspect, but I think even just on the basis of having more things that get into your graveyard to discount Avert Disaster, just counterspell, blue counter target spell is good. It's
Oh
very
yeah,
classically
I
good, and I
love
love
Avert
Avert.
Disaster.
Um, I
I love
like a
Disaster.
lot
It's
of
just like
things that are
slightly
going here.
awkward because you have to be. You can't really be Sultai because of the double blue. But you don't. But like you really want to be both black and green for all the graveyards and everything. But it's a very good card if you can enable it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
Imminent
will.
Disaster, 3 mana, exile a creature or planeswalker, not the end of the world.
Yeah, I think
We
the more
even
flexible casting cost here is reasonable in its own right. Because we've seen like one black instant speed exile target creature or planeswalker with a little bonus be pretty good over time. And granted, this is not that by any measure. But what it is perfectly reasonable, and because it is a removal spell that also discounts your counter spells if it comes down before them, is pretty nice as well.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure how we're getting Scuttling Cicada out of our hand if we happen to draw it, because there's no looting in this deck. There's just self mill.
Yeah,
Uh, there are six lands with cycling in the mono base, 4 Murky Path, and 2 Royal Balcony. Yeah.
I like Balcony here, especially
Um,
with the Damned to Hells and Avatar's Whims, because not only is this Balcony, getting a cycling card in your graveyard for those, it's also finding you the relevant basic for Damned to Hell or Avatar's Whim.
yeah, we have not seen like the Damned to Hell Welcome Visions like cycle of cards used for their like caring about cycling thing. Is mostly used for their like be in a monocolor deck and play all basics of one type.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be interesting to see how they perform, kind of using that part of the text. Sideboard has the other 1 Avert and 2 Imminent Disasters, the other 1 Urban Explorer, 4 Elopes. Cool.
Yeah.
4 Elopes. 4 Faces of the Faithless. Oh yeah, Faces of the Faceless is the graveyard hate that doesn't stop your Damn to Hell, Wicked Manifestation, Avatar's type stuff from working. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. And has cycling.
And 3 Golden Bloom this time. And it has cycling. Oh, and the Lope has cycling. And Lope is like an answer to creatures that has cycling.
Yeah.
It's a really cool deck.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I know I did a little bit of I wouldn't call it like whinging or groaning at Godtree Chimes, but I've never been super high on this card. But I don't know your response to that was be nice to the new player. There's a lot of things I like about this deck. I think I've said this before. I don't remember where I might have said this, but in May, before the GP that I ran with Red Green Looters, one of the decks that I tried a lot was Cycle Combo. And it was when Zuhan could flicker things and have them come back immediately. And we had Transgressive Trendsetter, which got its enter trigger not on cast. So it would add black and a red every time you cycled a card. And you played all of the 1-mana cyclers that could cycle for black or red mana to just kind of generate mana as you go. Got to run for an encounter both as a cheap cycler and as something that could hit your Zuhans and your Trendsetters. And I had 4 Wicked Manifestations in there, both as just 2-mana cyclers, so you can pay the mana off of your Trendsetters to cycle it and keep replacing your draws. But it was also something that was just a reasonable alternative plan for if the combo didn't come together. And one of the things that I found with Wicked Manifestation was that the combo element of the deck was really profoundly unreliable, and the most reliable kills that the deck had was just putting 2 or 3 copies of Wicked Manifestation in play, and then becoming like 5/5s pretty quickly, and just murdering the opponent. I love this card. So I hope it does some cool things for Doomsday, because I really want to see some manifestation success.
Absolutely. Uh, and yeah, love to see Wicked Manifestation pop off, especially if it pops off with the Godtree Chimes.
Yeah, I will say this. I know I have been pretty open in saying that I think the only hit you ever want off of it is Exorcist of Errors, but I think if you're not playing Exorcist of Errors, but you still have I think if Wicked Manifestation is an important enough card to you, I do not hate getting it off of Matriarch of Veiled-Kin.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Matriarch. Yeah.
That benefits from the
I mean,
change
you could also
where it can
just
get
put Exorcist
horrors.
in this deck.
Yeah, you can also totally just put Exorcist here, but I'm such a sucker for Wicked Manifestation, so I have definitely thought about like that's a hit off of Matriarch. I love this thing so much.
Oh my God.
Fully agree, Prov. This is a sweet list, and Prov picked the perfect time to come back.
Oh yeah, Prov. I think we've seen we've seen just as many decks built around KDT cards as built around fly cards.
Yeah. All right. Up next is red deck discards. Mono red survivor.
Mono red survivor.
Oh my God, we're digging deep. Coytail Myrrh.
Survivor's
Oh
my favorite
God.
red card.
Survivor's my favorite red card for sure. Wow, this really is a cavalcade of things I've thought about in my in my looter stompy deck.
Coytail Mare.
Uh,
Goodness.
4 Calamity Cat, 4 Ignited Soul, 3 Coytail Mirror, which is a 1 mana 1/1 with Menace and Haste. More Menace creatures, always nice in a deck like this. And whenever you discard one of your cards, you can sacrifice the Mirror to return one of the discarded cards from your graveyard to your hand. 4 Gilded Noon Entertainer and 4 Fabricated Anomaly, of course, as well as 4 Dawnsworn Survivor, which is totally a red card. Ignore that casting cost. Squee Goblin Nabob's a red card. So this is too. 4 copies of Momentous Charge, which is pretty reasonable to discard with that flashback cost only being 2. Bleeding out 2 of, and looks like it's only 2 in the 75. 4 copies of Firebolt, 3 Igneous Visions, 3 Coordinated Shot, another good way to benefit off of the Coytail Mirrors and Ignited Souls as they stop getting value later on. And then 2 Set Ablaze. With 19 lands here, 4 Primal Fissure, 14 Mountain, and 1 Grip Festivarium. Primal Fissure purely here to cut down on the number of actual land draws that you have over the course of the game, which seems pretty reasonable when you've got a looter engine going.
Yep.
Yeah, I mentioned this. There's like a cavalcade of stuff I've thought about trying in Looter Stompy. I've tried Igneous Visions. I've tried Firebolt. I thought about trying Coordinated Shot at some point. And one of the things that almost made the cut on my deck was a Momentous Charge. So,
Yeah.
you know, sweet includes.
Yeah. Well, like, the most straightforward possible way of using Survivor is just like all the best cards enabled are red. Just put it into like a very low curving aggressive red deck. I think Primal Fissure also it puts cards in graveyard for Anomaly, which is nice.
Yeah, that's really true. Sideboard is 3 Burn to Obscurity, 4 Terminal Impact, 3 Verdant Radiance. First time we've seen this card. Big middle finger to artifact decks, and then can untap one of your creatures to give you an additional combat. Not a lot of... Oh, there are some cool things you can do with Verdant Radiance here. You untap one of your creatures, get an additional combat after the current main phase, and then you get an additional main phase. But what you can do with this is you can untap one of your creatures and then use Calamity Cat to untap other creatures. So if you haven't used Calamity Cat yet in the turn, you can untap them with that to let them swing twice with Verdant Radiance. That's pretty sweet. 2 copies of Gift of Inspiration. And then three Advance of Fire and Faith, which is becoming kind of a regular in these red decks, is three copies of Advance of Fire and Faith. Who needs 2 mana Pyroclasms?
It's the best Pyroclasm we have available.
Yeah, it's one-sided.
Yep, that's why it's the best one.
Uh-huh. Saboteur's Immolation, who?
Man, I only wish Survivor cost 2 mana so I could Absentia it. I was kind of looking into like, oh, Absentia, that solution, no, it had a mana value of 4.
Yeah. It's so close to being able to hit it. If only it cost half of what it costs now.
Yeah, it still would be uncastable, but then you could at least Absentia it.
Excuse me, I'm on a green deck with Survivor. I could cast it at 2
right.
mana.
You're the. Yeah.
It gives me more hits off of 4 in encounter if you do that.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, maybe you should 2 mana 0-2 or something.
2 mana
2 mana 0-1.
2 mana 0-2
0-1 trample.
Trample. Yeah.
For Anomaly.
No,
Zero power
here's the thing. If you
with
give it 0
Anomaly.
power, it's an anomaly. It's 0 power with Anomaly. Free counter off Anomaly. You do the fancy Entertainer plus Gift of Inspiration first strike trick as well. Yeah, that's true. Gift of Inspiration in the sideboard plus Entertainer with first strike to get multiple inspiration triggers. That's pretty sweet.
Nice.
It's interesting to see Itai switch to mono red.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Oh, I see.
Oh boy.
Body People has a proposal. Body People's offering us a ring. It's a ring of promised vows. There's 4 of them in this deck. Also 4 Shigane Manor Burns and no Husk Forgers.
Interesting.
And with these 8 2-mana ramp spells, we are going to be ramping into Survivors of the New World and Ardor as our 4 drops of choice. Survivor is, of course, Giant Value Bomb. This deck only has 14 creatures, so Survivors are extremely likely to hit another Survivors. Or Ardor, which is very good with Survivors, buffing up those tokens. Further up the curve, there is Indomitable G-Crew and Austerian as high impact 5-drop creatures, and even further up the curve, Realm Violator and Warden of Tremors as 6 mana rentals. So the idea here is a ramp deck that doesn't play things that are vulnerable to small removal. All our ramp is non-creatures to dodge all of the shocks and downlink overloads of the world.
Yeah.
There are 2 planeswalkers, one Amaret, Seeker of the Sun, and one Illustrious Shengfa for high mana planeswalkers. Couple of the main removal spell here is 4 of Abominable Avalanche, which seems great in this deck, which has a lot of 5 mana spells it wants to ramp into. And then there's a smattering of other removal. 2 Seal Away, 1 Frag, 1 Terminal Impact, 1 Charity Match, 2 Plasma Strike. Just a sampling platter of all the best Naya removal spells in the format. Love Charity Match with stuff like G-Crew. Charity Match is a great card.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Stacy's pointing out that also this deck can't, because it doesn't play Huskforge or any small creatures of any kind, Survivor will only hit 4+ mana value creatures.
Yeah, so it's gonna be just a nightmare circus of all of the scariest things in the deck.
And with no 1-drops, the land base is free to include, in addition to the normal 9 Shocklands, 4 Permanent Fissure, 4 Penwrath districts.
I'm a little surprised to see Penwrath District without Gilded Court. I feel like Gilded Court just makes this so much more reliable.
Gilded Court is nice. I have no context for how good Gilded Court actually is, but this does seem like the kind of deck for it.
I think what surprises me most is Platy does have context for how good Gilded Court can be, which makes me think that either Platy was not aware that Gilded Court is in the format, which I think is very unlikely given Platy People's a curator. And it makes me think that there is something I'm missing regarding Gilded Court's absence here.
Like, the curators have to read a lot of cards.
That's true. That's very true. There might be cards that Platy was thinking about for this deck that are in sets that didn't get voted in.
Yeah. Yeah, the curators should be able to put in cards from sets that didn't get voted in, just as a treat.
Weird note on Penwrath District. I'm reading its flavor text. I think possibly for the first time. Is that how you spell graffitied?
I would use an apostrophe, but that's not completely non-standard.
Huh. I don't think I've ever seen it spelled out.
Oh, so that's how you spell the word graffiti. It's just like the possessive is a little, not the possessive.
Yeah, the like past tense action. I'm saying like I don't think I've ever seen graffitied spelled
Perfect.
out. I know the word graffiti, but the like past tense action, I don't think I've ever seen written out.
Sideboard has 4 Deafening Clarion. I'm honestly a little surprised not to see any Deafening Clarion in the main. I guess it kills your Ardor. The other 3 Terminal Impacts, the other 2 Plasma Strikes, 3 Hungry Blobs for artifacts and enchantments, and 3 Faces of the Faceless as the anti-graveyard card of choice. Nice to see that. This is an interesting flavor of ramp deck. I guess we just haven't had like 2 mana non-creature ramp in enough density to support this kind of ramp before.
Yeah, a lot of hype was given, pretty rightly so, to Huskforger Acolyte, but Ring of Promised Vow is giving us another like pseudo rampant growth in a format that has seen so little 2-mana ramp, that hasn't been a creature on the board, and not only that, but 2-mana ramp that like comes down and you can use the mana immediately is just really nice.
Oh yeah, maybe even, man, Root Fossil used to feel so good, like a month ago.
Yeah, I keep trying to jam Root Fossil, and how the mighty have fallen. It's stunning.
It feels so slow.
It just demands so much of your early turns, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
Up next is Prov.
We're getting close to the end.
Prov, on all the best KDT cards that look at the top 6 cards of your library and grab a card that costs 3 or less and puts it into play. I'm not the only foreign encountered player. And Prov is on Naya for an encounter, not so much as a looters deck, though there are some familiar faces like Fabricated Anomaly and Fabricated Anomaly. But there's foreign encounter plus Anomaly, which is just sort of a great suite of 3-drops, but there's also Redeemer of Hollowed Flesh and Ironback Tyke, because this is more than just a foreign encounter deck. This is Sort of just a Naya mid-range deck. Huskforger, Acolyte, and Melon as the 1-drops. Contest Coordinator and Reaper of Blossoms as the only 2s in the deck. And then Redeemer, Anomaly, and Tyke kind of carrying the 3-drop slot here as great hits for foreign encounter, and also in the case of Tyke in particular, something that you can hit off of Contest Coordinator. Although Coordinator does not have a lot of stellar hits here. It finds your Husk Forgers, it finds your Melons, it finds your Ironback Tykes, but it misses Anomaly because the puzzle box has the ability, not the Anomaly itself. Misses your Redeemers,
Thank
misses your
goodness.
Reapers. It does find Coordinator notably does find Foreign Encounter, which is pretty big.
Yeah.
4 copies of
this
that.
is like Plush Collection without Plush Collection.
It's Plush Collection without Plush
I
Collection.
kind of vibe.
4 copies
Honestly,
of
in my
Terminal
playing with
Impact.
Plush Collection felt like the weakest piece of Plush Collection, so just cut it.
That's super fair. 4 copies of Terminal Impact, 2 copies of Sanctum of Repression, which was a card that Prov was hyping up prior to the stream, and 2 copies of Revolt of the Palace, which you know I'm a fan of. Prov, is everything okay? Your deck is full of colors. Yeah, Etai making sure Prov's okay because it's not mono green. Where do these mountains and plains? At least there's more forests than mountains or plains. Like Prov's not like deathly ill. But we've got
Funnily enough, I think my mono base analysis is that this deck actually should be playing as many white sources as green sources. It has just as many white cards it needs to play early as green cards. But Prov just like on instinct put in more green sources than white sources.
yeah, like all of the duels, tap for green, meandering path and thicketed path and even split, urban jungle, verdant sanctum, same deal. So really, really wants that turn 1 Husk Forger Acolyte, and then Melon can go to hell.
Yep.
But yeah, nice to see Prov branching out from just mono green. Says still mostly green. I go, sure, buddy, and then I gesture at Contest Coordinator, Fabricated Anomaly, Ironback Tyke, Sanctum of Repression, Revolt at the Palace, Terminal Impact, Melon. Buddy,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. It's 11 turn 1 white sources for Melon. It's actually like
you have a
3
single
under the.
You have a single green card in the sideboard, and it's a red green card. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If he's getting color screwed, he is not having it be green. That's so true, Stasis. Yeah, speaking of that sideboard, 4 copies of Looming Psyhawk, none yet so far today. So nice to see some Psyhawk.
Yeah, first Psyhawk I see.
Yeah,
they're endangered.
None in Zangi's deck with all of those flash threats too was so surprising. Like all of those instant speed plays, but no Psyhawks. 2 copies of Swift Reproach, 3 Abominable Avalanche, which yeah, it just makes sense. If you're gonna be playing way to just sort of split up damage, if you're playing anything in red and green, if you have anything that even remotely cares about you just like getting to pump mana into spells, which I mean, yeah, Acolyte does that. Revolt of the Palace single-handedly triggers Abominable Avalanche. Sanctum of Repression, and Advance of Fire and Faith. I will admit, though I committed to the Black Splash for Exorcist of Errors and some sideboard cards, I did entertain what a Naya version of my deck could look like. And while I didn't land on this exact suite, I did think about what Revolt of the Palace could do for the archetype. I ultimately said no to this because of Survivors, or because of Dawnsworn Survivor, but in a build that's not looking to play Dawnsworn Survivor, is instead just sort of playing the more reasonable 3-drops to try and make Husk Forger hum and get as many good turn 2 plays as possible. Revolt of the Palace looks a lot better.
Yeah. Also, against token decks, we can side in 3 Avalanche and 4 Psyhawk and 4 Advanced Fire Faith. Fully 11 sideboard cards for that matchup.
Yeah, Prov heard Cat and Tree get to the finals of July and just said, nope, not on my watch.
Liz deck.
Yeah.
I love this deck.
Take it away.
So Liz is on. So let's start at the bottom. This is a Welkin Eviction deck. Sky Fishing for Laystones. So the 2 ideas of this deck, first of all, it's a very heavy white deck. We are on 3 Hopeful Soul Space and 12 Plains. And the reason we're on so many planes is specifically to enable Welkin Eviction. And then while we're also here, we're also playing 4 Laystone of Being with all this turn 1 white. I think it's very high Laystone of Being. This is a card like I've also loved to main deck before. It's just the turn 1 Laystone is such a nightmare, and even like the later Laystones making random 4/4s and 6/6s and 10/10s. Such a high impact 1-drop. This is also a contest core in your deck, getting Laystone and Welkin Eviction and a bunch and all 12 planes and a couple other choice cards throughout the deck. And it's a kind of a blinky deck. We have 3 Dawnward Minister, the 2-1 1/1 that draws a card and can gain life if you've cast 2 or more spells. 1 Purify Dawnbloom Grove to reprieve it and blow up creatures, blow up things. Renowned Rough Rider and Survivors are also both excellent things to kind of blink and bounce. Renowned Rough Rider making tokens and Survivor making a lot of tokens, and even 1 Darisha Stack Exec up there at the top. Kind of a more refined version of the list we saw earlier that I built that someone else was running. Helping with all of these enter triggers, we have 1 Cassia the Carefree and 1 and 2 the Dutiful Wanderer as ways to get extra enter triggers off all these creatures, as well as 1 Illustrious Shenfall up there at the top. Makes sense. This deck's going to draw a bunch of cards and have a bunch of ramp. 2 Plasma Strike as our cheap removal, along with 4 Sanctum of Oppression. This is the card that I know a lot of people in chat have voices are very high on today. Yes. Leah pointing out that Purifier is here specifically to kill Anomaly and or the Puzzle Box token off Anomaly, which I fully approve of.
Yeah, I think that's very wise. There's another reason why I wanted it in my deck, honestly.
1 of Vow's Reflection to keep another way to bounce creatures, and 1 of Casus Belli, the jellyfish version, for the luck that comes from repping a jellyfish in the year of the jellyfish. And this is the thing that endears me to this deck so much. 3 Rejuvenation Session, which works, with all of them, like the 3-drop creatures, 4-drop creatures. But also, if you have a Welkin Eviction in play, this gains 7 and looks at the top 7 cards of your library.
Yeah, this is it's so hard to properly call it this because there's a lot of work that has to be put into it, but hello, dig through time.
I mean, it's dig through time wishes it can also gain you 7 life.
Yeah.
Love to see this card getting some use. It used to be 3 mana before Mir told me I could put it down to 2.
Hell yeah. I'm so glad someone told you.
Yeah. Well, it's finally. I'm only sad. I know it's because Cassia doesn't work with Male Demon, but sad that it's Dawnward Minister and not Male Demon.
Yeah, that's understandable. Though I think Dawnward Minister is just such a good card.
Yep. I mean, Helpful Hunter does not need any help to be a good card.
Mm-hmm. I will say, I have tinkered around with a deck like this. I didn't settle on anything quite so perfect as this. I think this deck just looks so clean in a lot of the decisions that were made here, but I've been messing around with a deck like this. The one thing that I was doing differently and that ultimately kind of threw me off balance and caused me to never settle on a list I was super keen on was in addition to the Laystone of Beings, I was trying to make room for, and I'm just going to pull it up on Escape from Limbo here, Opulent Vantage, as a way to cast some of these cycling cards more reliably. So I was having, like this could cast a Welkin Eviction. While it doesn't cost reduce Welkin Eviction, I was also starting to play some more cycling cards like the Naturalize that we have, as ways to not only just get more good interaction, but things that I can cast off of the Opulent Vantage, and can then cost reduce Welkin Eviction. And then what Opulent Vantage allows you to do is if you have turn 1 Opulent Vantage, the mana for that casts Laystone of Being, you gain 2 life off of the Vantage, end step gain 1 off of Laystone, and then you put a 3/3 into play turn 1.
That interaction is sick. This mono base is heavily warped to be able to support Welkin Eviction as much as possible.
Oh yeah.
There are only 5 non-plains lands in the whole mono base.
Yeah, and I think those are lands that do deserve to be here just to help make the green spells work a little bit better. I fully understand why that path was not chosen. And again, it ultimately sabotaged the deck I was trying to build because it pushed me towards wanting to try out oh god, I've been hyping it up so much. Court something. God. brain.
Gilded Court?
Gilded Court, thank you. I was trying out Gilded Court as well, and if I was like, well, if I've got 8 lands to tap for colorless, how much do I need to make Ziv work in the deck? And it was just falling apart by that point. So I
The
couldn't
problem is
quite.
you already have a 5-mana planeswalker you want to run. You don't need Ziv.
Yeah, Dutiful Wanderer probably just gets there anyways. And at that point, Opulent Vantage and everything probably just unnecessary. I wonder if you could get away with fewer basic planes for Gilded Courts, or possibly even like go down the Verdant Sanctums for Gilded Courts, just on the basis of trying to get more planes in the deck that can still tap for green. If I would add the Vantage, I would also be playing colorless cards. Yeah, runs Vantage and abandons the Welkin Eviction package. See, that was the thing, was I was still trying to make Welkin Eviction happen with Rejuvenation Session, and I was like trying to see how I could try and make Rejuvenation Session work a little bit better. This was also early on in the month where I was trying to look at like what decks could I play in League to try and hunt promos, and I was looking at Glacier Guardian. I was like, well, if I'm gonna have a lot of things that gain me a bunch of life.
I heard Liz say in chat like that, like what the reason I wasn't running Glacier Garden because I also wanted to win, not just hunt promos, and yeah. Glacier Guardian's rough.
Yeah, it really is.
Sideboard has a whole bunch of different stuff. 2 more Purifiers for artifacts and enchantments, 2 Looming Cyhawks for tokens, 1 more Darasha for mid-range, along with another Illustrious Shengfa, 2 more Plasma Strike as small removal, 2 more Val's Reflection for just more value when you need it, I guess. 4 Archival Storage as Graveyard Hate of choice, and 1 of Golden Bloom of the Silenced, just in case.
Yeah. I do wonder, the one big thing I'm feeling the absence of, and there's not a lot of great hits for it, and it kind of muddies the waters on Contest Coordinator a bit, but with the Purifier of Dawnbloom Grove, I wonder how much value there would be to squeezing in some copies of Ozon's Blessing, just because instant speed Purifier is so good. Especially since it gives you additional copies of Purifier without needing to run additional copies of Purifier necessarily. So you can find it more reliably, but I do recognize that it throws off the numbers on things like the Contest Coordinator. It throws off numbers on Rejuvenation Session, and it puts a higher demand on your green sources, of which your deck is already rather light. So I recognize that that's not the most reasonable include, but at this point, if I see Purifier, the first thing that I think of is where's Ozon's Blessing.
My take on Ozon's Blessing is you need to have one hit that's like really excellent that your deck wants to get reliably, and then you can like maybe put in a couple other toolbox cards to support that. But you need the like Blue Titan or Transgressive Trendsetter, a card that like really justifies wanting to spend 3 mana on it. Before like Ozon's Blessing becomes worth it. I think none of the toolbox stuff adds up to like worth including in your deck as a 3 mana instant. Oh, hi, Coveted Peacock in chat. We got 2 new decks and 1 repeating deck. We're nearly there.
Yeah, we're almost with 3 more. All right.
Actually, I've played against and played a little bit for this next deck. Do you want me to take the next one, and then you can take Stasis's deck?
I think you took the last one, so I would get the last 2. But I'm sure happy with that if you are, because I know you are more experienced.
The last deck's a repeat.
Yeah.
The last deck's a repeat.
I mean, I can still talk about the repeat a little bit.
But this is Goober Combo by Tremor. Copied from Liz. This is Liz. List. Speaking of decks that have a reason to run Ozon's Blessing, this deck has 4 of Ozon's Blessing, which gets maybe the one of Purifier, but mostly it gets 4 of Gubernatorial Fundraiser. And then once you have Gubernatorial Fundraiser in play, and you've pledged Vishanti, which you always do, now whenever you make a Gubernatorial Fundraiser or spend 3 or more colors of mana to cast a spell, you get a treasure token, such as on further Ozon's Blessing to get more Gubernatorial Fundraisers, or extraction missions to get back and copy gubernatorial fundraisers, or where is it? Reflected Echo to make more copies of your gubernatorial fundraiser. Or 3 become 1 to draw cards and then play any of those things to also get more gubernatorial fundraisers. And once you have 3 or 4 and 5 or 6 gubernatorial fundraisers, all of your spells are mana positive. And now your Hushed Briefing, which costs 1 less for each token you control, is 1 mana draw 2 cards. now your where is it? Festered Effluviums um, make a ton of treasures in addition to milling you and drawing cards and making zombies and adding a ton of mana. You can also get a Covetous Frostrum in there at some point. It costs 3 mana. You can trigger Gubernatorial Fundraiser of that. And once that's in play, while you're casting all these instants that draw cards and trigger Gubernatorial Fundraisers and do such things, you're also milling cards and drawing more instants and sorceries to keep the chain going. And then once you've done enough of this, there's also Pact of Power as another ritual that draws cards. Wretched Bargain. As long as you sacrifice a treasure, this is 1 mana, draw 2 cards. It can be mana deposited very easily. Once you've done all that, the kill condition is Dante's Inferno. You eventually cast and/or mill a Dante's Inferno, and then you flash it back for like 50, sacrificing 50 treasures.
Yeah, I will note, importantly with Wretched Bargain, while it is functionally 1 mana, draw 2, lose 2 in terms of that damage condition, it's actually really important that it doesn't cost reduce, but instead adds the black, because that means it will still always be available for Gubernatorial Fundraiser to have the 3 colors of mana spent on it.
Yeah. This mana base, we do need 4 different colors of mana to support all of these things. And so the mana base is kind of, it's very painful. There's a lot of shocklands in there, along with 2 redeveloped Cityscape. I do actually approve of Cityscape in specifically 4-color decks that don't have 1-drops.
Yeah,
such as this one.
I do still really like Cityscape. I know that obviously it is a shadow of its former self, not being able to get rid of non-land cards in your hand. But I do still really like it in more high color density decks like this, where there's just so much going on, and finding the basics you need as you need them is just so important.
I've made people say Conviviplex for the same reason. It's a lot of fun. Sideboard has one of Masksmith as an extra Odin's Blessing target, along with 2 more Coveted Frostrums to play a more fair game. Also helping with that is the one of Fabricated Anomaly. Sistral Charm is the kind of go-to answer of choice in the sideboard, along with 4 Abominable Avalanche, which allows you to play a pretty effective fair game. Fizz Call outdraws a ton of control decks. Golden Bloom of Silence deals with hate pieces that would otherwise stop you. And 1 more extraction mission in case they don't have an answer to the first 3.
Yeah. Super sweet deck. I remember you almost getting to get there with our playtest stream a week ago. I think the deck has a lot of cool things it's doing. I am a sucker for Lacebark Wielder, so seeing it show up at all is just really exciting. And Gubernatorial Fundraiser is a card I really love, and it's nice to see that our resident combo player has figured out a way to crack it, and that Liv was able to set it up for Tremor, who is, I believe, also a brand new player. So welcome, Tremor, and good luck.
I was the one who sent the list to Tremor.
Yeah.
Hope Tremor, best of luck. Hope you can pilot this thing. Live brews some crazy decks.
Tremor did talk about their experience with constructed as of late being Valley Flood color combos. So I feel like anything that's in the vein of like Jeskai Ascendancy, cast spells, make a bunch of mana, cast more spells, make a bunch of mana, which this very much is in that vein of. If you got experience with Flood color, that may pay off for a deck like this. So we'll see how it shakes out. Final 2 decks. We've got one final new deck to see here, and then one that is a repeat, which I believe is our only repeat, right? Like, these have been 23 unique decks. Some kind of like shared strategy. We've got a couple decks that are on Survivor, but none that are on like the same game plan fully, which is pretty exciting.
Honestly, I wouldn't even say there's 2 decks that are like slightly different versions of the same thing. I guess there's the 2 green white Vow decks, but even though they're fairly different.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd say the 3 Survivor decks that are like Survivor Anomaly, they're doing different things. There's the Jund one that I'm on. There's also the one blue-red Survivor deck and the mono-red Survivor deck that are all doing very similar strategies, but they're doing so with very different support cards to kind of structure around.
Yeah.
Stacey saying cover the repeat first. Sure enough. Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about the last unique deck last then. So Ricky Rister is on that deck we saw Split Moon talk about earlier. Sorry, that we talked about with Split Moon earlier at the start of the stream. Was the second deck we covered. This is the black-red sort of Reanimator deck with 8/8 on the mountains and swamps. Despite there being a lot of triple black pips on like Reclaim the Fallen's Flashback and Final Fate. But things like Shigane Manor Burns can kind of help you get there more reliably. 3 Crucible Burning Sun looks. I think I remember seeing something about this in the GP chat that it looks like there was an error
Yeah.
where this is a 63 card main deck and Crucible was moved from sideboard to the main.
Yeah, they're letting them play that with the sideboard.
Okay, so yeah, so that is still the proper 75 where the Crucibles are in the sideboard, not the main deck. One of Enduring Loyalty. Just trying to, get there in the early game with Ignited Soul, Rooftop Slink, Audacious Rough Rider, kind of smoothing things over, and then you try and pitch a Privilege Escalation in your graveyard and get it back with a Reclaim the Fallen. Then Privilege Escalation is just such a beating if it comes down, with the backup plan of just funneling a bunch of mana into a Festered Effluvium or a Terminal Impact. Seems sweet. As I had time to think about it, I think it's a pretty simple deck overall, and I do like the pivot plan of Exorcists and Inner Rings Pupils. But just the fact that it is like, you have Audacious Rough Rider to make a bunch of treasures, Shigane Manor Burns can build it mana over time, and then otherwise you've just got like cheap, kind of annoying creatures that are just gonna cause you trouble. And then you can funnel mana into these like big X spells or into trying to reanimate your like big flashy 10 drop. It's just pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the last deck here, which is the second to last, but it's the last unique deck of the stream, is Stasis Spot's Presidential Promo. What the... Oh, okay, yeah, this is just Jund. This is Jund mid-range. I say just Jund.
Jund mid-range.
Jund mid-range with Chief Executive Dante as the president. I know Stasis has made it something of a personal goal to try and promo all of the faction leaders from Cliques of Nylon. Got the promo Kanai Stone as part of rotation. Got a promo for Severin Sparkmind from being the Revolution 2025 World Champion. We're going to always throw out the shout out on that if we can. And there are still 3 faction leaders that still need a promo because I don't believe AO... actually, did EO get the promo for...
Nope.
No, because Cat and Tree didn't get there. Cat and Tree was close.
Oh, yeah,
but didn't get there for EO yet.
I'm going to be honest, Flinch might be a little tough.
Yeah. Krint really has the highest hurdle. Maybe if we get one of those cards, I'm blanking on the name of it, from Modern Horizons. Stasis says we don't talk about EO. Krint is going to definitely happen for sure.
I mean, EO, I can believe, gets a promo naturally. Someone else should do it just to deny Stasis the ability to do it.
I think someone besides Stasis or Cat and Tree should do it just to spite the both of them. No, don't do that to either of them. Like, if somebody's going to get it and it's not Stasis, Cat and Tree almost certainly. But Stasis here on Jund midrange. Liz saying, Krint happens if I fall asleep and the other curators let a Phyrexian alter into the format. Don't show Liz my my set. I may or may not have an artifact that is War Infiltrator. Listen, it costs more mana, I promise. It's not just 3 mana. Anyways. I feel like I've just given Lit a reason to check out my set, and mission accomplished. Anyways, presidential promo. We've got 4 Reaper of Blossoms, 4 Exorcist of Errors, 4 Fabricated Anomaly, all like really reasonably good mid-range cards. 1 copy of Spike, Jack's Grave Tiller. Despite my best efforts to try and find a way to make this card work, I couldn't, but it's exciting to see that someone's given him a shot. A little suspicious of Spiky with 15 non-permanent spells, but... I mean, there's still good things to do here.
Let's draw 1 Spiky in the game.
Zangy, raising eyebrows. Zangy, I'll ping you in my channel after the stream.
We'll see what field test makes of it.
We'll see what field test makes of it. 3 copies of Inner Rings Pupil and 2 copies of Chief Executive Dante. Instance and Sorcery Suite is 2 copies of Sovereign Execution, 4 Terminal Impact, 4 Abominable Avalanche, 2 of the newly buffed Work Safety Violation. Love the change here. Really excited to see someone getting to play it. And then 3 Chronicle of Extinction to break my heart. As well as 3 Root Fossil. As we were talking about earlier, feeling a little slow these days. But I mean, hey, this deck has no turn one plays besides, I guess, impact pinging off a Husk Forger. So, Root Fossil,
Yeah.
not so awful when it's your only real reliable turn one play. Dante is bad, by the way. We just don't have a better 5-drop. Oh, don't say that about the president.
I agree that both that Dante is bad and also that the five drops if you're not Boros are weirdly bad.
I will say the card of the the card of the day changed because it passed midnight. Dang it. Hold on, I'm scrolling to it because I'm trying to remember its name. Wait, hold on. I have a better way to find this. Yeah, Fiend of the Crimson Pact. Fiend of the Crimson Pact is sweet.
Oh yeah, Fiend of the Crimson Pact. It just it sure does really die to removal.
There's a no, it's not a typo. It's so weird to see deals combat damage to a non-creature and not say permanent afterwards, but it's because it hits player, planeswalker, or battle. That's a sweet change. Anyways, land base is not too complicated. Shocks and paths. We got one Gilded Court here. One Meandering Path is the only path here. 3 of each Shock, 4 Primal Fisher, 2 of each Basic, and then Vishanti District. Stasis says, I looked at Fiend and I decided the promo equity was greater than the difference in playability. That's super fair. I do think Chief Executive Dante at least kind of does something interesting in picking off smaller permanents. But yeah, it just does have some clunkiness to it. Sideboard is 2 copies of Anik Oathbound. I'm not the only one on Anik. Hell yeah. 3 Hungry Blob, 2 Redeemer of Hollowed Flesh, 1 Inner Rings Pupil, 2 Downlink Overload, 2 Duress, 1 Work Safety Violation to go with 2 in the main, and 2 Culling Ritual. Pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. This is like Jund Good cards and Dante.
Stasis said earlier, Peacock is going to roast me for playing Chronicle, please. Stasis, I have very firm words prepared for you. Nah, I get it. Listen, I might hate this card, but I understand why you include it in a deck like this. It does the things that your deck wants to have, and the flexibility is just so good. My gripes with this card have always just been that I feel like it's just a tad too efficient for the flexibility it offers, because it just covers so many different things. Funniest line is getting to Chronicle and get anomaly triggers for free. Holy shit, that's so funny.
Anomaly to 0-1.
Make your anomalies, exorcists, and reapers into 0-1s. Swing with them. They all get counters for free. Oh, I hate that so much. It's so funny. That's so good. Oh, that's really, really classy, actually. Yeah. Oh my god. Yep, that's a line you can take. Yeah. So it's just God, more flexibility on this card, the last thing we needed. I will say at this point, we talked about Chronicle kind of fading in terms of its like overabundance and overpowering of the format. At this point, I do play up the loathing of Chronicle of Extinction. It's still a card that, like, I will grumble about if I see it, because I still do have some frustration with how flexible it can be. But I will never fault anybody for playing it. As I always say as well, there's a tilt equity that you get from getting to play it. It makes your matchup into be better. So I'm never gonna fault anybody for playing it.
Yeah, the reason I described it kind of old school, like, this is not a Husk Forger list. Like,
yeah.
I had a very similar deck I was considering, but this is like I would like just defaulted putting 4 Husk Forgers in it because you have Forest in your deck. If you have Forest, you should play Husk Forger. But just like not playing Husk Forger lets you play Chronicle without worrying about it killing your thing. Makes you less vulnerable to small removal. Just like reduces your potential for explosive openings with stuff like Avalanche and Anomaly.
Yeah. Stasis is also pointing out, because of the change to work safety violation, you can go turn 3 Avalanche, turn 4 work safety violation, use the treasure and an untapped land to cast one of your 2-drops.
Yep.
and get the 3/3, which is pretty sweet.
Very sweet. Okay. Okay. Stace is saying it tested out Husk Forger and didn't like it here. Interesting.
Yeah, I think I can
Okay.
kind of see it. I like Husk Forger a lot, but I think one of the things that is important to identify as we're in the early days of the format having a 1-mana dork is that while there are a lot of good things that does for decks, it is not something that is an end all be all. We see Llanowar Elves getting to exist in official standard for a while now, and while it definitely does show up on occasion in strategies where it matters, there are a lot of decks that get to exist in that color. In green, where you don't want the Llanowar Elves as much as you'd think you would. So pretty savvy deck building on Stasis's part to recognize that Husk Forger not really going to service the deck in any meaningful way, and including it ends up making your Chronicles feel worse. So if it's not really benefiting you too much, don't run it.
I'd love to stick around for the matchups, but I am feeling my sanity beginning to fade as
Yeah,
we
this has
pass
been a
into the wee
long
hours of the
3-hour
night.
stream. We've got a lot of matchups. I quite frankly, it is been a 3-hour stream, so I'm not sure I have it in me to talk about the matchups. I'm a little spooked to see
Okay.
that I'm up against Lit. So that's worrying.
I'm I'm up against someone trying to attack me for Wicked Manifestation, which good on them for trying, but it might end up with a lot of stun counters on it.
Yeah. Oh God, Reggie Ice.
You shouldn't have tried to attack with creatures.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Were
That
you
was your
hoping to
mistake.
put things on the board? I'm
You're allowed to
sorry.
have them, they just can't like untap.
Yeah. Would you like untapped permanents? No, I don't think you do. But yeah, so very long stream, a lot of decks to talk about. I have the absolute funniest matchup against my own 75 or 74.
You get
Interesting.
75. I think SafeBot wouldn't let you do less. Not SafeBot, LackyBot. Okay, I'm getting too tired. I'm confusing SafeBot and LackyBot. That's enough.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you go here. I'm gonna wrap the stream. You do not have to stick around for the goodbyes, but folks, you can find Chipmunk's channel in the name of the stream. Go check out her channel. She has covered her GP runs of the last few tournaments. She does her own content talking about the format as we head into patches and as we head into exciting new rotations. She's been doing some great stuff. She is an absolutely stellar player. Format's very first 3-time in a row GP winner and has won 4 out of the last 5 GPs. So absolute name to remember for the format going forward. Hope you take care. Hope you rest well, and maybe we'll see each other in the tournament at some point.
Maybe somehow we have not matched up in a GP.
Ever. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Alrighty. And with the call done, I think that is it for the stream as well. I hope you all take care. This has been a blast to talk about over the course of these past 3 hours. We started talking about Hollow Knight, and we end talking about the fact that this was a very long 3-hour stream. So, time going by really fast. What's more Metroidvania than that? Thank you all so much for tuning in. Probably have to be a little shorter for all out sanities, but was very fun. Yeah, I gotta get better at time management. I just get so carried away with talking about decks sometimes. I probably will have to re-record my deck tech because 50 minutes is just such an ask for the deck tech. I gotta learn how to focus in a little better. But yeah. This was a blast. As always, if all of you, any of you who are still here are curious about the format and haven't tried it for yourself, links in the description lead to all of your key resources for everything custom Magic. You can check out the Revolution Compendium, the search engines for Escape from Limbo, and the LackyBot search engines, which both function similarly to Scryfall. You can check out the Custom Magic Discord server for all things Revolution and beyond. And yeah, it's a great community. It's a great time. And I can't wait to dive into this tournament and see how it all plays out. This has been a blast. I hope you all rest well for those of you who are in the late hours of night or early hours of morn. And for everyone everywhere else in the world, I hope you all have a good day. Take care, everyone, and I will see you all in the Revolution chat.